They think that I just come in there and look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, I'm here. Who wants to fight with me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter can beat me.
Welcome to Bodywork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. I want to make sure something is right because I went all the way through that playback and nobody let me know that the volume was off. I don't know, man. Give me a shout out. Give me a holler. Let me know how it sound. Do it sound the way it sounded on the last live? You know, I'm a perfectionist of some sort, so I gotta make sure everything is goody. So let me know. I'm gonna check. I'm doing my check real quick, and I promise y'all I'm gonna get right into it. But I don't want, even though I didn't see nothing too wrong with the live the other day, but for me, it didn't sound the way I wanted it to. The way I wanted it to sound. So I just want to make sure that everything is okay. And we're going to get the rocking and rolling. Let me see. Let's see. Okay, yeah, we good. Okay, we good. But shout out to everybody, man. It is Fight Night Eve, and I'm very excited because, you know, the fight that takes place tomorrow with the main event is a fight that's much needed in the boxing world. And I have been made to eat crow when I felt very adamant. Just to be transparent, the last time, you know, when I was picking against Brian Norman, you know, I was pulling for Brian Norman, one, because of his character and the energy that he brings to the sport. He's kind of like a throwback fighter. You know, I wasn't saying he was a world beater, but I like the fact that he's not a safety first fighter. I like the fact that he has his own kind of like personality, and I like the story. You know what I'm saying? Atlanta was my second home, so I kind of took a liking to the young man, and I like what he was doing. But more than the fact that I was a fan of Brian, I was looking at the game and I was saying that it's not just me being a fan of Brian Norman Jr. and liking what he brings to the table, liking the energy, liking the style, liking that DSGB flavor. It was more so for the sport of boxing. I was basically saying that for the sport of boxing, me and AC was actually saying for the sport of boxing, Brian Norman needed to win. And that was, you know, that was huge for a guy like AC, who, he likes Devin Haney. He's a true Devin Haney fan. That's why I kind of like the balance that he brings, because me as a Tank fan, him being a Devin fan, we show that, look, we can have our own picks, we can have our favorites, but we can still have this boxing talk and be objective and not be biased. And I'm looking at this fight like, it's not just me being a fan of O'Shaquie, because there is a big narrative, just to give you a precursor to the main, the main dish, the meat and potatoes. I'm hearing a lot of narratives about how, oh man, all these O'Shaquie fans coming out the woodwork and this and that. Just like the narrative about how O'Shaquie's been talking about Shakur more than Ray Ford. No, he hasn't. It's like, man, we gotta stop it. And I've been on the campaign speaking against the politics of boxing. It's like, just to stay in the good graces of whoever, just be yourself. Because at the end of the day, I'm gonna tell you, I'm talking about Tim Bradley today, but something that's been one of those hindsight of 2020 things to everybody watching, D-riding and putting, and pulling out pom-poms and putting in tonsil jewelry and spraying throat coat and putting out the reach around extenders and all that, like it will bite you in the tail, right? Because not to get too far into it, just to give you a precursor, just to give you a little morsel. How at Red Lobster they give you the cheddar biscuits, before the salad and the lobsters and all that, whatever. If you're doing the serving turk before that, just to give you a little cheddar biscuit. Tim Bradley has done a lot of I would classify as D-Rod. No disrespect to Tim. I respect Tim Bradley, man. You're a Hall of Famer. And I like the piece that I'm doing today is like, okay, this is what I wanted from Tim. But it's just like Rex Grossman when they had, or Jay Cutler, bad Rex or bad Jay Cutler versus good Jay Cutler. When he's slinging that rock down the field, man, as far as throwing bullets, accuracy, having a cannon for an arm, Jay Cutler had it all. But like, it was good Jay Cutler and bad Jay Cutler. And I go through this with Tim, where it's like, man, some of the things that he do is brilliant. If you just stay in that vein, Tim, you're going to be one of the hottest things since sliced bread on the internet. Why? You already got the credentials. You got personality. You were the one who they had the fireman speech, but he did all of that D-riding for Shakur and the Brat Pack and all that. And guess what Shakur said not too long ago, about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago? I've lost all respect. There's nothing Tim can do. I'm like, I've learned this a long time ago. This is why I don't be on my knees saying I trying to get interviews from these boxers and trying to get all in their inbox and all that. Why? Because you sing their praises. Just like me and Richardson Hitchens. I've been down like 4 flats. But he'll probably use a channel like mine when I come on and say, oh, no, man, you duck the Duarte to say, oh, man, we don't need these. But what about all the times when I put stakes in the ground for you? Shakur probably saying the same thing. What about all the wars I went through for Shakur? When it came down to the D-Hive with Devin and them and all the narratives and all that, when they were saying, oh, he fake Puerto Rican and this and this and that. I came out and did a segment when he proposed to old girl in the ring after I used to be a huge Shakur fan, but I noticed something. You can sing their praises all day, every day. You know what I'm saying? You can highlight everything they doing good, but the moment you say something that's adverse, oh yeah, they're gonna come out and address you. They ain't gonna come out and be like, man, I appreciate the content. Oh yeah, man, like I know you're not a big channel, but yeah, I did take the points. I see how people were using your points and being the anti to your points, but we see where it all come from, because a lot of it started Bodywork, believe it or not. But I say all that to say this: Tim Bradley, he's on to something. We're going to get into that. But the premise of why I started this was to say that this is one of those fights that no matter how big of an O'Shaquie Foster fan I am, and Ray Ford was in my boxes to watch. I call him the Cobra. I actually have a background. That I actually made that was the background for when I did my boxes to watch for O'Shaquie Foster, aka the Cobra. Because I'm like, man, if it was a character, like if you look at G.I. Joe, like his stature, how his face is, he looked like a snake. He looked like the Cobra. Like you put some little makeup on him and put him on them shields and he take it off. That would be Ray Ford, man. He looked like a little Cobra Commander. And then the style, like he got that quick strike ability when he used to let his hands go. Right? But I also said that just like Brian Norman and how we were pulling for Brian Norman, not just because we like this personality and the fact that we were going to get a big fight. Because after that, like remember, Richardson Hitchens was saying I got next with Brian Norman. And I was like, wow, well, I didn't even know y'all ever, shared the ring or whatever, but come to find out there was sparring history. And, I guess Devin was the brave one, the first one with a real big name to actually give, the guy an opportunity because Boots didn't give him the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? We already went through the politics of that and, how Eddie was. It wasn't really Boots, but Eddie and his shenanigans and all of that and how they did that. But, he would have had 3 pieces of the pie out of 4 with the winner waiting on the winner of Mario Barrios and Ryan Garcia had Boots for, Brian Norman, but he didn't do that. And I said, listen, this is one of those things to where the business of boxing actually needs Brian Norman to win. Why would you say that, Mike? If you listen, I'm going to tell you, right? I'm saying that because if it was Brian Norman that won that fight, we would have got a Brian Norman versus a Richardson Hitchens. We would have got a Brian Norman versus a Roley. We would have got a Brian Norman versus who else? Probably a Keyshawn. We would have got Brian Norman versus another big name because he's not the kind that was going to take his belt and parade it around. He had the same energy like Fabio Wardley. Remember when Fabio Wardley was gifted that belt because Usyk said, no, I'm going to go fight this kickboxer, so here, have my belt. And remember how he said, I'm not going to take this and go hide behind the bush. No, I want to fight the biggest, baddest. And he wound up running into Dubois. Now, the outcome was the outcome. And I always say, man, listen, let's not confuse the outcome of the fight and be this hindsight is 2020 based on the outcome. But let's look at the energy of everything leading up to the fight. Regardless, let's look at the energy of Brian Norman. We would have got that fight. So here we are. The night before fight night. Well, we getting ready to see O'Shaquie Icewater Foster fight Raymond Savage Ford. We could have easily got Raymond Savage Ford and Shushu. Shushu got a belt. He stayed at 26. He's trying to conquer that. He want to go undisputed there, but Ray moved up. He's challenging himself. But because he's a part of the extended Brat Pack, everybody's leaning that way. And I'm like, listen, if Ray win, what are we going to get? We're never going to see him fight Shakur. We're never going to see him fight Keyshawn. We're not, he's talking about getting to Casey, which I don't mind that fight if he get past, because why? It makes sense. But he's not talking about Navarrete. O'Shaquie's talking about, listen, I want Shakur after this. I'm going to get rid of the son, and then I'll go see the father. But I was looking for Navarrete. He had business to handle with Suarez, and all that. But like, he either wants to unify the division or get the big fight in which everybody's campaigning for. And so outside of us being fans of O'Shaquie Foster, way prior to us knowing that there was anything going on with Shakur, the sport of boxing actually needs O'Shaquie to win. Why? Because he's going to embody the energy to where he's going to give us the big best fights. He's going to challenge himself. Because he always said, look, I want to test myself against the best. I want to see how I do against this person. And that energy is not common in today's boxing. And that's just a precursor to what we're talking about, but we're going to go over something that Tim, had going on. And I always say this, just like when I be criticizing Sean Zattel and all that, but like I just gave them big ups. Some of these sometimes I criticize the boxing voice, but I always give them big ups, and I always let them know my salutes will always be just as loud as my criticism. Everybody not gonna do that. I'll tell you, hey man, that show you did last night. Oh man, that point you made, I'll tell you, hey man, salute. You was on it, you was on fire. But when you fuck up, I'm gonna say, I don't like that. So if I come out and say I don't like that, or I don't agree with that, or not voice my opinions with sound logic and reasoning, not saying that I'm perfect, not saying that I'm above anything or anybody else or whatever, because I'm human error. I got my biases, I got my personal things, but I'm gonna give Tim Bradley his salutes today. And I'm like, finally, you're saying something that, like, you're the one. And this is what we expect from the Hall of Fame. It's not for you to take your Hall of Fame status and use it for ill gain purposes. like to fight to, to get another paycheck. I mean, I don't care if you doing what you gotta do to get a paycheck. People are doing what they do to get a paycheck. I happen to have a tattoo that say I'm not for sale. So there's a limit to what I'm going to do for some bread. I'll go without. I've been like that all my life. They say closed mouth don't get fed. Well, I starved a lot because I never opened up my mouth. Why? Because it's just, I'm not going to do just anything for the bread. I've learned to be more vocal. I learned to go out and get, and I've never had a lack of trying to go get something I want. I always go get what I want if I really want it. But I'm not one of the people that's going to bend over backwards, put myself in a pretzel, affiliate myself with a bunch of people just so I could say, oh yeah, man, I was with them. And yeah, no, I don't do that. I'll roll dolo from state to state if I have to. That's just me. So I'm going to salute Tim. That's the precursor to the show. And that's what we're going to get in tonight after we get into the housekeeping and cook the way we normally do. But if you hear the sound of my voice, man, thank to the universe that it's Friday, man. It's been a semi-long week. We had a little, off day on Monday, so a lot of people probably had a short work week, but at the same time, man, if you out there, you working, you putting boots on the pavement, you getting behind vehicles, you out there putting in hours, toiling and laboring, and you're not sitting back in the shade sipping lemonade, getting paid, then you had to work. So I salute you if you hear the sound of my voice. I'm glad you're here, and hopefully we're gonna have a wonderful conversation. Salute, AC, man. How you feeling, man?
Man, everything is good, man. I was just watching some of those shorts and got caught up with talking to the missus and explaining one of the shorts, and that was the baby face comment. She was like, "You crazy," and we both laughing because it sounds funny as hell when I read it back, but it's still just full of the actual facts of what happened. You know what I'm saying? It's just in a format of making light of it. And yeah, this is going to be a good cook because I'm happy that overall that the things we were talking about in those clips will have some relevancy in the outcome of this fight. And for many boxing fans, either way, they're looking at the outcome of this fight for both the fighters. You feel what I'm saying? What does Ray Ford do next, and how does this work with Ray Ford? And then there's that whole other dynamic without going into it, but it's centered around one individual. And this one individual has all of this effect over this fight that we're about to look at right now. I would dare say, in my opinion, this is the absolute reason why this fight is actually happening, because of this one individual. I think if this one individual wasn't there or didn't have the pull, we may not be seeing this fight until some other time. And the other guy, Ray Ford, might have went in a complete different direction. So in one sense, you look at it one way. In the other sense, if you're a silver lining type of person, you say, well, at the end of the day, he brought this fight together. So if there's a talking point that you want to hand to that guy, you say, okay, your maneuvering on the real shit just gave us as far as the lead up to it, you just gave us a great fight with some serious potential. So kudos to you and your maneuvering. And that's where I'll end it right there.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to work. Yeah, I mean, I do, even though I don't think that Ray gonna admit it. He gonna say for 2 years I've been chasing. I'm like, we didn't hear nothing about that. Yeah, I heard him tied up to because I was excited. I had a thumbnail and everything when I thought him and Shushu, because I thought at 126, I thought that him and Shushu would have been a banger of a fight.
That's the fight.
I thought,
Yeah, that's the fight. Or wasn't or isn't one of them Vargas or Valenzuela brothers, Vargas or Venezuela, somebody down there at 26-2. That was a great fight for Ray Ford and or Shushu.
Yeah, Vargas. Yeah. Yeah, Ray Vargas.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's who that's who I thought he was going after. That's why I was like, look, it's either going to come down to Vargas or Shushu.
Word. Salute to Aso Stain. Salute to Sulani, Tania. He sure wiggle himself out of this smoke. He sure can't wiggle. Yeah, he can't. But salute, Solani. I seen you cooking somebody else on another channel in the comments once again, man. I'll be seeing you. And real talk about Honeybee say, mic check, 1 2 1 2, sounding crystal clear. I'm glad. And you know, I mean, I'm not even gonna address that. I don't. You might be lost, Mini Jim, especially if that's your claim to fame, brother. You definitely lost, brother. It's not the tree you want to be barking up. You know, you want to be barking up this tree over here, man. I don't think you in the right place, brother. Just gracefully bow out, man. But salute to you for being in the comment section. You know, kind of weird there, but I'm about to get into this housekeeping. Let me get this image. Man, because I always like allowing people to see how Michael Rogers, how I think, you know, how I see things. And I'm like, you know, because people be gaslighting, man. I don't go over the gaslighting definition as often as I need to, but I want to show y'all some of the ways, like, just so y'all could get into the mind of how I think, how I see things, man. So you'll understand me and some of my points, you know. Hold on, I think they say I got too many images, so I got to get rid of one. Let me just get rid of one of my images. So I'm gonna put this up here. I'll get rid of this one. Okay, so I'm getting rid of this one, and I'm downloading this image so I can get into the housekeeping. And I would have had this done, but I forgot right at the last minute that my mic sounded funny the last time, and I didn't catch it till I listened to the payback, because I'm always critiquing myself and seeing how can I get better and do better. So I apologize, but we downloading this imaging, and I'm gonna get the housekeeping up here. Let me see, I got the housekeeping right here. The first one, Stephen Fatboy Fulton making cosign excuses. Once again, you know, I dealt with this, and it was never nothing personal against Stephen Foolboy Fulton. You know, it was never nothing personal against him. I think he's a personable guy. There's nothing like really that I don't like, or he like Boots in a sense to where it's like clean cut guy. I mean, you know, all you know is about his gym and his affiliation. He like to, you know, put that shit on, as they say. You know, I don't necessarily agree with the styles, but like as far as everybody in their eye and, you know, what's, you know, fashionable, they claim to think he's fashionable. I did like some of the, you know, ring outfits that he came out with, you know, adding a little style, not looking like everybody else. He did do that. I wasn't anti Stephen Fulton, but like I first experienced this with Stephen Fulton when his whole camp was saying that Naoya Inoue was a hype job. And I was saying, well, what's gonna happen if you get knocked out by a hype job? And he went over there, and then I remember like right before the fight, they were talking about gloves and all this. And I'm like, well, you know, over there they can stack. You know, over there that, you know, it's time zone difference. You're supposed to be over there like way in advance. And a lot of fighters fall victim. They'll sign up for that check, but then not just signing up for that check and taking that fight. It's more to it than that. You know, you can't just sign up for a check and then not do the things that's necessary, like get over there in a timeline, on a timeline where you're going to be acclimated to the time zone that you're in. And then you can't complain if you're going to a spot where they stack gloves. Then you can't complain if they stack gloves. Look, stack yours. So it's like, okay, well, if he can fight with an egg weight in his gloves, give me an egg weight in my glove, or it's gonna be no fight. It's like, it's all things is even. You know, I mean, so he wound up getting knocked out by anyway, and then it was all these things about the weight, and then it was all about the stacking, and then it was all this rumors. I'm like, man, here y'all go, man. Y'all called the dude a hype job. He got knocked out. Like, what are we talking about? And he came back. He went on his pouting tour where he was disgruntled because he was on the prelim card. He was at the top of the prelims, and he was like, I'm like, but you've been inactive, bro. You got that paycheck, and you damn near pulled the same shit that they was giving Frank Martin when he got that paycheck from Tank, with the same shit people was giving Fulton, but except for you had a whole bunch of people out there making all these goddamn excuses for Fulton because you got the check and you went and you ate good, bro. You benefited, you know, from the fruits of your labor, rightfully so. You went through some things. It touched me when I heard. Now, this was the part that my heart went out to Stephen Fulton. When he said that his mom saw when he got knocked out, and she was like, damn, there go my house. I felt that shit. I said, damn, cool boy, man. Like, that's one of them things where I wish that we could have, you know, sat around and kicked it and said, man, like, damn. Because you a gladiator, you a warrior. I respect all boxers. I don't expect the excuses. So here we go the day before, and I seen Sulani. She was in another comment. She was on another video up in the comment, and she made this, and she said, man, the timing of him coming out saying this right before, you know, this fight was, and that's the first thing I thought. I said, why are you coming out doing that? Like, you just clouting off like you're done, like you got washed. You got belt to ass. Like, why are you coming out now? We ain't heard nothing from you since then. I haven't. I seen you styling because I follow on IG, unless I'm blocked. I have seen a couple things where you was putting that shit on and posing with your cars and your fashion. And I saw all that, but I ain't heard nothing boxing wise. The shit that I care about, I didn't hear nothing about. So for you to come out and do this and talk about, oh man, and then you got Lamont Roach co-signing talking about, yeah man, Lamont's bodyguard had to pick me up and put me. Where was your bodyguard, bro? The shit just sounds fugazi to me. It's sloppy, and I'll be damned if I'll be out here like making excuses. Like, I didn't make no excuses for how Tank performed against Lamont, and Tank is my guy. He's my main apple scrabble. I don't put in and around his weight class until proven otherwise. The same way my father-in-law feel about anyway, until proven otherwise. I'm not gonna go against the dude until he gets smacked like my Don, and then he start falling off and we see drinking and all. I'm not gonna go against him. But I don't get out here and make no excuses for nobody who get paid millions of dollars, because they don't do that at my job. Like the contract I got, I have my own business, but can't nobody make no excuses for me. If I don't get up and go do what I gotta do for my business, I'm not gonna get a check. Ain't nobody gonna make no excuses. Well, you know, he had a long weekend because, you know, he had to do this and he had to. Ain't nobody gonna make excuses for me when you're getting paid millions of dollars, and part of the agenda is for you to make weight, like get in shape and do all this. And I remember me and AC, we were laughing and joking, and AC hit me up like, man, is he serious? Talk about he was like 160. I was like, AC was like, is he really serious or he trolling? I said, man, he gotta be trolling or making a jokey joke, even though I think that he do be letting himself get a little bit out of control. I do, because we joked around about it. I said, man, I think he be bullshitting. And then, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was all this, and Oshaki said something about it. He said, man, I'm not getting my full credit because of Fulton not making weight. He said, so now I got to go out and show and prove again. And that's outside of his control. We cannot make no excuses, because it's funny. It's funny how this one dude, that dude YSM, I seen him over there on the dude Bang channel. And I be rocking with what Bang be saying. I like kind of like the personality of Bang, but he did this conversations with over the phone conversations or whatever. He was chopping up with Jamil from Mill City. And here go Jamil all in the comment section, acting just like the people who they crucify and criticize, be ready to fight and scrap and shoot and bang. And if you say anything about Boost, these dudes be ready to lose their shit and cry. I be like, man, but here you go over here making another excuse for Fulton. It's just an excuse, bro. The dude get paid millions of dollars and he can't make weight. That's not our fault. And here we are. I always say, listen, I made a new rule. I said, man, if you get your ass in that ring, this was after the Spence and Bud fight. I said, if you get your ass in that ring and you're not up to par and you get your ass whooped, I'm gonna say, yeah, my guy wasn't my guy, but that's not an excuse. That's not an excuse. That's why I say I will not take away from what Bud did to Errol Spence, because Earl said it's nothing going to keep me or stop me from getting inside that ring. But if I can't say, oh man, if we get crucified, as Errol Spence fans say, hey man, that wasn't my guy. He looked like he smoked a pound of weed. You know what I'm saying? He was sweating profusely. His eyes, he got a little sleepy eye or whatever, but like Errol didn't look right getting into that. Oh man, here you go, taking away from Bud. But here you go, YSM, Jamil. All in the comment section making another excuse for another one of your guys. And I noticed this. Whenever it comes from anybody from Philly, that New Jersey region, just say, look, I'm all things Philly, New Jersey, whatever, and just keep it like that. I'm just rocking with home team. Just say I'm home team. But like, no, we can't be out here co-signing, because if I, as an Errol Spence fan, if I don't have the right to be able to stand on any merit and say Earl wasn't Earl when he fought Bud, without trying to say, oh, here you go, hating against Bud and taking away from his victory. I told you, they're going to say he too weak, he too small. Yeah, but Bud chose the time in which he already got in an accident. I'm not going to go into that, because then what? I'll be sounding just like Jamel, a.k.a. YSM. That's why I said the last episode, I'm going to keep my foot on these people's necks, talking about how the politics of boxing is ruining boxing. It's just ruining boxing. Like, all of the points is just defaulting to Ray Ford. It's like, what has Ray Ford done since the Nick Ball fight? It went the distance with Matisse. Like, what did he do? But here you go, capping for Ray Ford, saying all these things about O'Shock and all this, and it's just like, that's just politics. Just say you all things home team, you all things Philly, you all things New Jersey, and then just leave it at that. But don't be out here making no excuses for Fortune, man. And it's sad to see Fortune, because Fortune has made a lot of money in the game. He was, you know, he kind of like was a darling. Because remember, O'Shock has signed with Top Ring. Stephen Fortune was like one of PBC's golden childs. And in the build-up and everything, they were treating O'Shock Foster like he was the challenger. And O'Shock even mentioned that. He said, oh man, they treating this guy like he the champion. He had a little chip on the shoulder, because he's like, look, I'm the champion. He's coming up to come for my for my strap. And Fortune wet the bed. Now, I hear people saying, I seen a fan coming out, a couple fans, and I think this is one of them things where one fan say something or one content creator say something, and then you like, oh man, I like that. I'm gonna put that in my rucksack. I'm gonna pull that shit out too. And I've heard this. Well, we don't really know. I can't really. I want to give O'Shock the benefit of, you know, the Fortune fight, but we don't know what Fortune that was. If I said that about Errol Spence, I would get crucified, and I have been crucified. But I don't make no excuses, because Earl really didn't. It was a long time before Earl came on and said something. I was like, man, Earl, just don't even say that, because one, it was way too late. But like, man, we got to stop this shit, man. Fulton can't keep getting all these excuses. Anyway, it was a hype job, and then it was the jet lag, and it was the weight, and then it was the sauna suit, and then it was, you know, the gloves. It's like, come on, man. You're getting paid millions of dollars, man. Cry me a motherfucking river. You can go to Fogo de Chao like every day, all week. You can go buy whatever kind of car you want. You can get all kind of clothes you want. You can, you know, take care of your children, send them to private school. You can do all of that. So miss me with them excuses. Miss me with them excuses, man. Anybody co-signing that shit, I'm off. It's off with your head, man. We're not going to do that. And it's trifling. It's trifling. This ain't your moment to shine. And then Ak and Barack, they greasy asses. I told y'all, Ak and Barack, they some greasy ass. And I already went head to head with Ak. Every time we put up some betting odds or whatever, I be killing his ass on them betting odds. Do not listen to Ak and Barack when it comes to them betting odds, because they some greasy ass people. They say anything. Anybody got anything they say, whatever, they ain't even got shit going on, but anybody got anything contrary to say about Tank, they'll go ahead and put them and do a short and do a whole video, and the whole interview be about them and Tank, and they not even fighting Tank. So they just some greasy ass people. And so for them to come out when O'Shock Foster got a fight with Ray Ford to put out this greasy ass interview with Stephen Fortune, it's like, what? Like, why would they even give y'all a check, bro? I mean, y'all cool and all, but your talents and your purposes and all those skills and all that production team and all that, it could be used for better purposes, in my opinion. But who am I? I'm just a guy with I got a little job, you know what I'm saying? I work for myself or whatever, got my own business. I'm not in the boxing game. I just do content. So who am I is my opinion, but the truth is the truth is the truth, no matter who's telling. So don't shoot the messenger. But miss me with that bullshit when it comes to Stephen Fulton and these excuses. I'm gonna call him Stephen Fat Boy Fulton until I'm proven otherwise. Until he come back and beat shit down somebody else's leg, that's what I'm gonna call him. I don't like it. Number 2, Zuffa clout chases Jamal Charlo signing another bum. What do you mean, Mike? If you listen, I'm gonna tell you right. Look at this image, y'all, and this is into the mind of Michael Rogers. Like, this is how I think. As fast as I seen this, I said, "What?" Because at first I was about to shit on myself, saying, "Oh, don't tell me Jamal went over there, Zuffa." But look at this, y'all. I said, when I first saw, I said, "Man, please don't tell me Jamal went over there to Zuffa." And look at that. That's the cover. Zuffa Zuffa Boxing signing adds another marquee name. And that was about 10 minutes before. So this is about an hour and 15 minutes ago when I saw this. But look at that. Ain't that Jamal Charlo? Don't that say Zuffa Boxing signing as another marquee? I want y'all to think that how I think, because the people be saying, "Oh man, you just be out here gang banging for the PBC." And I always tell y'all, they don't say gang banging for Golden Boy. They don't say gang banging for Matchroom. They don't say gang banging for Top Rank, but they say gang banging for PBC. I wonder why. But they say, "Oh, you out here gang banging for PBC." But why did they use Jamal? See, he don't get no credit. Jamal is still undefeated. Mental challenges and all that. Got one of the best jabs in the game. Still undefeated. This is not Mel, who went undisputed at 54. This is Maul, the bigger one, who's still undefeated. Regardless of, all the L's he might have took outside the ring and life and all that, and he bounced back or whatever, got his faculties back in order. They used this image. So I said, what the fuck are they talking about? I said, what are they talking about? So let's look at it. Let's see. Let's look at it. And this is what you get. So that's the image, y'all. So that's the image. Like when you click on it, on the article, when you go, you're looking up, you're doing your boxing news, you reading tea leaves, you deciphering what's going on. That's the image that they choose. But let's look at the article. Just so y'all can see. I'm gonna take that down. I'm trying. On Zuffa, y'all, so they starting to fuck. Shit. All right, do y'all see that? Do y'all see that? So look, this is it, y'all. Zuffa Boxing making another marquee signing. This was today, 2207. Who the fuck is this? Ahead of his marquee clash with Chris William Smith in Bournemouth on June 6th, Road Boxing. It is not yet. Ryan Rozicki signs with Zuffa Boxing. Who was Zuffa? There's nothing else more to this article. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Yo. AC.
Yeah, you good now.
Okay.
It was just going like every
Okay.
other word. It sounded
So
like you was
just
in
to
the
prove my
Matrix.
point, that's why I say, man, so to prove my point, right? To prove my point, this was the image. And they still on that bullshit. 7 minute, a 7, 8, 9, 10 second delay. When I've been clicked on the image for it to pop up. It still ain't showing yet. 12, 13, 14.
I see Paul.
Oh, you see it?
Yeah. As soon as you pulled it up, it
Okay.
Like it's something weird going on because
Okay.
the comments are like there's a lag in the comments. There's comments that even here, and I go to the main YouTube page, I can't see, and I'm like, who is he talking to?
Yeah, but that's the image. This is what I be trying to say. As far as like what, and this is a microcosm of what Zuffa is doing. And like this is what they're doing to PBC. This is what they're doing to the sanctioning bodies and all that, because we already talked about how they pulled Brandon Glanton over there to fight Jal Patai when Brandon Glanton was number 10 for the IBF, and Jal Patai didn't have to sign with Zuffa to get a Brandon Glanton. So this is another reason, like, okay, so you got the bold print, like the advertisement, which is the commercial to bring you in, or the ad to get you to come in or do whatever it is, and then when you get behind the screen, so they use Jamal Charlo, of all people. So he's good enough to be the cover of the bold print. He's good enough to be the advertisement. Then when you click on the article, Ryan Rozicki signed. I'm like, how do they get to do that? And what does that say? See, PBC fighters are good enough because that's advertising. Because why? You be like, damn, Jamal signed over there? Okay, let me go look and see why. Because deep down inside, you really do kind of care about what's going to happen. Like, that would be major if Jamal did do that. So you're going to click on it. That's clickbait at its finest. But this is what I be trying to talk about, how PBC fighters, they like the value and they know the value of it, but they got to shit on them and they got to, denigrate them and devalue them and all that, but they use them when they need to. So they used his image to tell y'all that Ryan Rozicki signed with Zuffa. We knew that already. Like, that was already news a couple weeks ago because they were trying to pair Ryan Rozicki with Jal Patai, but now Jal Patai getting ready to fight somebody who I know, if you a casual, you don't know who he is. I don't even know this guy that Jal Batai getting ready to fight. Can't even remember his name. I don't even care to remember his name. Why? Because they already started shitting on David Benavidez, who coincidentally is another goddamn PBC fighter, saying that he ducked Jal Batai. Now Jal Batai getting ready to fight another obscure, I don't know who this guy is. But y'all let y'all do y'all homework. But I wanted to prove a point to where some of us, we not gangbanging for PBC. We just putting you up on game and how they treat people from the PBC. You can be good enough to be on the advertisement, the bold print, for them to use your name, a clout chaser built. Just same way Jal Batai was all built up with David Benavidez. All he had to do was sit his ass right there, defend his belt against Brandon Glanton, and we would have been getting right now, after David would have did what he did with Zerto, we would have been getting a Jal Batai with David Benavidez. But it's convenient for him to go tuck his ass over there on Zuffa Island, the Isle of Zuffa Monroe, like AC like to call it, right? And now he getting ready to fight another obscure cruiserweight that's already lacking. That was the third biggest name, Zerto, Jal Batai, and David. Three of the biggest names up there. You'd be hard pressed to give me 10 good names. 7. You can give me 7 notable names to where if you don't gotta be even hardcores can't tell me 7 solid cruiserweights right now. That's how shitty the division is. It's a bunch of big fish and little ponds, but they use Jamal Charlo, who's a 168 guy, for an advertisement for a guy at cruiserweight signing with Zuffa. So don't gaslight me. I'm already lit, y'all. But that's how I think. I'm like, see, I know I don't be tripping, and how they'll use PBC, all things PBC. They'll shit on them, denigrate them, devalue them, push them to the side, use their boxing media parrots and minions to devalue them to build their shit up. But they know the value because they'll use them in the way that they see fit to profit themselves. That's number 2. That's number 2 on the housekeeping. The last one. Bivol returns against who cares? The guy's name is Michael Eifert. He's like 13-5 and whatever. Who cares? Who cares? Like he's at the point. Bivol, one of my favorite fighters. He's one of my favorite fighters. And he's been getting a bad shake. He didn't get his rematch with Canelo. People allowed Canelo to play them games. Canelo was saying, no, I want to go up to 175, but after they dismissed it because they said that they made another Stephen Fortune type excuse saying, oh well, Canelo was going up to 175, and so he was daring to be great. It's like yeah, but he was going to go up to cruiserweight to fight MacBook Air Makabu before Makabu got his ass busted. And people was going to say, oh, yeah, he's really daring to be great. But, like, Bivol was smart. He said, no, I'm not going to let you come up there to 175. Why? Because I'm not going to get credit. But guess what I'll do? I'll come down to 168. And Canelo was like, nah, I don't want to do that. Why? Because he had a lot to lose. He would have got his ass. That was prior to what Bud did. But he never got his rematch. He went on to have his little fight, his 2 fights with Beterbiev, which I think he won both of them, in my opinion. He won both of them in my scorecards. Both of them. So, Bivol's been one of my favorite fighters for a long time. It's just, he's not from here. Lately, I've been giving myself permission to be selfish. Why? Because when it comes to American boxing, people either want to play politics for their favorite and be down with this whole fucking brat pack, and they don't really want to, like, give the guys that really need the shot in the arm or the loudspeakers to keep American boxing going. They don't really want to do it. So it's like, man, why would I spend my time, on people who I used to spend my time on, like Inouye and all that? Because they can fend for their own. Like, major media is going to defend them, right? But like American boxing, like the true hardcore, like what me and AC were talking about the other day about Black American boxing, and he went into like Errol Spence versus Bud and how Errol Spence was like true Black, American boxing. Like, that's where I'm at now. Not just Black American, but American boxing in general for me right now. And that's my focus. That's the only reason why I don't go out of my way. That's the only reason why I didn't take a whole segment out to do a whole show on Bivol, which I would have. And when he has a major fight, I'll do that. But I said, no, right now, American boxing. Not just even the heavyweight, because heavyweight we down bad. But American boxing, we need more unbiased people that's going to spotlight the actions of the people that are really doing things that's going to contribute to the vitality of the sport. But Bivol has been one of my fighters, and I don't care. The man came off of back surgery. Back surgery is very serious. I never really understood how important, you know, or how like detrimental like back pain could be until when I was on truck driving. I was over the road, and my company was in Missouri. It was in Springfield, Missouri. And I went out, had a couple of drinks. I was walking around, walked to Burger King or whatever. And then I got racially profiled. And some police just said, hey, you, stop what you doing. They start asking me questions. I was like, for what? Like, they was like, where you going? I was like, back to my hotel room. And see me, I'm the type where, that's why I don't go nowhere, because I'm the type where I get indignant. Like, if you just ask me some dumb question, I'm going to give you a dumbass answer. I don't care who you are. It's been proven. So they asked me, where you going? I said, I'm going back to my hotel room. What are you stopping me for? Like, what am I doing? I'm not over here beating no old lady in the head. I'm not out here harassing no woman. I went to Burger King and I'm walking back to my hotel room. What do you want? Stop right there, sir. I'm like, for what? No. So the one dude grabbed me. He tried to put my arm behind my back. He couldn't do it. And so the other dude said, hey, stop resisting. I said, resisting what? Like, what are y'all doing, man? Like, what are you doing? So it was two of them. It was two men. It was two police officers. Neither one of them can get my arm behind my back. So then I said, man, we in Missouri. I thought about it for a second. I said, man, this shit can go real bad, because it's going to be their word against mine. This is before all the body cams and all that was all that prevalent and whatever. And so I said, man, look, man, stop pulling on me like that. I said, I put my arm behind my back. Cause I was laughing. I was laughing. I said, man, you can't even put my arm behind my back. And I laughed at him. I don't know why I did that. So the dude tried to put me in some crazy weird hole, right? And he grabbed my wrist, and the other one, I went ahead and leaned down. So when I finally laid down on the ground, of course, the one dude put his knee on my back, and the other dude, I swear, this dude tried to make my wrist touch the back of my head. And I was like, man. So what they wound up doing was they wound up putting me in a cell. They took me downtown. They put me in a cell. They didn't arrest me. It was no charge. They didn't arrest me. They put me in a cell, and they wound up letting me out at like, it was like old dark 30. It was like, it had to be like 4:30 in the morning. And I had to walk all the way back. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know where the cell was. I had never been arrested or locked up before. I never been arrested or locked up, by the way. I don't have no record. I don't have nothing. I've never been locked up, arrested, or nothing. They took me, put me in there, and then they let me out at like 4:30 in the morning. And when I got back, I was supposed to start training the next day, and I got up and my back, oh my goodness, my back felt like, I don't know what they did, I don't know what Buddy did, but when he put his knee in my back, it was like I couldn't move, I couldn't bend my arm a certain way. My shit was like that for like a week. So I'll never take for lightly like back pain, and when people, because I used to say, oh man, your back, because that's real convenient, because sometimes you really can't prove it. Can't prove that somebody got something wrong with their back. But Bivol had back surgery, right? Just for him to come back and be able to box. I've heard reports to where they saying he looking spry, got pep in his step, he looking energized. I mean, he has some rest. You know what I'm saying? So I've been looking forward to him. Who he's coming back and fight, he's almost in the Tank category. Well, I don't give a fuck. Tank can play any, mini, mighty, mo. You know what I'm saying? He can go down to the flea market and pick, you know what I'm saying, the bodyguard down there and be like, hey, I want you. Come, let's fight. I wouldn't give a fuck right now with him coming back. That's just me. So with Bivol, this guy, Michael Eifert, I don't care. Long as Bivol get, you know what I'm saying, his feet wet, get back in the, you know what I'm saying, the flow of things, I don't care, but he's coming back. That's the news. That is the news. So we'll, you know, early tomorrow, we'll see him early in the day tomorrow. And I think that's good. That's right for boxing. Why? Because one of the major players, a guy, he don't get all the credit. People give, this was so funny. People give Bud all the credit in the world. Oh, he's better than Floyd, but I'm like, Floyd beat him like 10 years ago. They don't never bring up Bivol. Bivol already just washed him. You know what I'm saying? But Bud get all the credit for beating him. And it's not that I'm knocking Bud for beating him. It's just that y'all act like, just like Shakur beating T.O. Y'all act like T.O. has not lost before. Even if it wasn't on the scorecard. Like, T.O. lost. He got beat by Cambosis, right? we think that Jermaine Ortiz beat him, but for the business of boxing. So, but Shakur gets all the glowing praise. That's why I say I don't rock with the politics in boxing. I'm just glad that Bivens back. He's a major player. He's in my, if there was such a thing, even though Crush is reshaping my mindset as far as, how I think about pound for pound. It's not a list of 10 guys. I'm starting to buy into his philosophy, where it should really be only one guy that's pound for pound. Right now, I think it's Benavidez. I think that's Benavidez right now until somebody else can say it, because I think he kind of slowly merged into that lane where it's like, yeah, I'll put Bivol at this point in time. I'll put Bivol over with the skill set and what he's shown against the people he's shown. I'll put him against any one of these guys in any weight class. And I think right now, until shown otherwise, I think David right now. Now, that's not to say that if he goes up against Bivol, who I'm going to pick in that fight, I don't bet against David Benavidez anymore. But Bivol has been one of my favorite fighters for years now. I'm just glad he's back. He's a major player in the game. And it'll add, it's going to add some sauce to the game. Because Bivol, he's coming back getting his feet wet, but he's not one of them guys that's going to take his light and go hide it up under a bushel and go, play. Remember, only reason why we didn't get Bivol and Benavidez was because of who? Sugar Daddy Sheik. He told Bivol, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Why? Because Bivol was affiliated with PBC, and that fight was going to go over to the PBC. In Turkey, as much as he get heralded for making all these big fights and wanting the biggest, baddest, he got in front of that shit and cut that shit out. But that's the housekeeping, AC. That's the housekeeping, bro.
All right, so I'm going to start off where you just left off at. And just because I remember hearing some chatter about this, about Michael Eifert, and I think the chatter was during that Fabio Wardley fight with what's the name? There was somebody on that card that was from Germany, and they kept on talking about German fighters and stuff like that, and somebody had mentioned Michael Eifert, like he's kind of a tough out, but he's super domestic, and that's definitely his issue, because he's only had 2 fights. Well, 1, 2, 3. Well, 3 fights out of basically out of Germany and stuff like that. So yeah, he's what you can call a pretty much super domestic fighter in my class. His only loss is to a guy, Tom Dismensky or something like that. He's from Germany. He lost at a majority decision. Then he had a fight in between where he won a unanimous decision against another German fighter, and then he got his get back against Dismensky in his win that was a majority decision. Mm-hmm. So this guy is just a tune-up. Unless it turns out to be a Munguia situation or I just forgot the Cuban fighter's name. I can't believe I just brain farted on David Morrell type of situation or some shit like that. But I just haven't seen any footage on this guy to know how he swings, what his stance is. He's a young looking dude. He's 5'11" and a half. And that's pretty much it. He's orthodox. They don't tell you his arm reach or anything like that. His alias is, his alias is Diesel. He's got 80 rounds in, 14 rounds. The crazy thing is on his box rec, his status is labeled as inactive. He has a 38% knockout ratio. So if Bivol is having back issues and stuff like that, you probably can consider this opponent to be at the level of Majimov's last opponent. And if, he just doesn't turn it up or turn it whatever, this guy can possibly make the fight look ugly. I really don't know because I've only heard the dude's name. I've never seen him fight or anything like that. Bivol coming back after back surgery, to me that's huge in boxing because punches, uppercuts, hooks, check hooks, movement, pivots, upper body defense, probing, a lot of that stuff has to do with your stance and staying upright, for 36 minutes and being active and the body moving and you're fainting, and that's, all of that stuff has these little tiny effects on the back. So to see Bivol come back and fight a guy at this level, it makes perfect sense. I'm not gonna crucify him on it or anything like that, because it will go into the same vein for me. Not that Bivol lost, he's coming off a real surgery, as if, Usyk fighting whoever for that title. You feel what I'm saying? This is the same level guy. It's it's Usyk when he first started the fight at heavyweight, fighting the Chad Dawson. It's AJ coming back. You know what I'm saying? After a brutal knockout or whatever. So I don't have any issue. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to say who comes back and who's showed to be a real dog, now if I was to say, all right, back surgery, car accident, eye surgery, I'd still have to get that edge to Errol to say, all right, who's coming back as a dog? Yeah, but the back injury is very significant. So is an eye injury, because Sugar Ray Leonard couldn't get past his eye injuries, and that's the thing that ultimately retired him. Because when you have that type of sight that Sugar Ray Leonard has, and you can see things the way they see, if your vision is not crystal clear, that's a huge chink in your armor.
Yeah.
For a fighter at Ray Leonard's level. So I get it. You feel what I'm saying? So outside of that, the way that Bivol's pendulum style works, yeah, back injury doesn't do this dude any, that's a huge chink in his armor. So I get it. And I'm not even going to try to cook him or say anything negative about it. He's got the perfect opponent. And for me, because of that type of injury, for the first time, I'm afraid for Bivol. And I'm hoping that, everything that they're saying is correct. You feel what I'm saying? The wrong pivot outside the corner or off the ropes, a weird twist, I don't know how that's going to affect that man. You know what I'm saying? And we could start to see, like, what's going on with Bivol? Why isn't he moving that way? And then that would show Bivol having a certain level of greatness if he can make that adjustment under those situations, much like what we saw Tank versus Pitbull. He hurt his hand in the fight and then had to make that real-time adjustment and still was able to pull off the win. Vito Milanicki Jr., he had a huge injury in the middle of his fight, and he made the adjustment and just said, you know what? I'm still going to use this hand. I'm going to suck up this pain, but I'm still going to sock this dude with this same hand. And that was a level that I have to respect. So, yeah, I'm a support Bivol, but I'm nervous for him. As far as the clout chase that Zuffa just pulled off, the clout chase Maul, you know what the hell you doing. You're trying to signal to Maul and saying, look, if you want to come back and you want to end your career or have these couple of fights with us, to whereas, we'll figure out situations around what's going on with you outside the ring. But at the end of the day, there's a home for you. And that's, to me, that's the message that they were signaling. Like, hey, Maul, Don't a Zuffa contract sound really good right about now? You feel what I'm saying? And I'm just hoping Maul is like, no. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to have anybody for me to fight. And if I don't want to fuck up my legacy like that. You know what I'm saying? So there's still hope for Maul. If Maul wants to go the Zuffa route, hey, I have my hopes, but I do understand as far as business-wise and putting money on the table and feeding your family. As far as trying to use him as a promotional tactic, because your venture is pretty much on life support, because it depends on who you can sign and what fights that you can actually make. And the rate of you signing people is not at the rate of when PBC made its announcement, when Golden Boy made its announcement, when DAZN came out, you know, and made their announcement about USA Boxing and DAZN USA, and they had, you know, just that string of top potential US talent standing alongside with their biggest signing, re-signing in AJ. So Zuffa is not having that. That's not the way Zuffa is panning out. It's panning out to be a nightmare. So I get it on both sides. Do I agree with it on both sides? No. But I get it. I do understand it. And for a fighter like Maul, is the Zuffa path possibly the best path for him? It's plausible. It's plausible. It all depends on how Maul looks, where Maul is at in life, because life definitely be life and shit like that. So, like I said in the beginning, Zuffa knows exactly what the fuck they doing. At the end of the day, it could be ugly, but it could also be a lifeline. Right now, I reserve my judgment to actually see how this thing plays out and whatever. But overall, just my bias against Zuffa and the UBO that represents Zuffa. There might be another path for Maul, but I just don't know what it is right now. And with that being said, I'll move on to the first one with this Cool Boy thing. And for me, like I mentioned to Body earlier, I'm not a fan of the weight cut excuses. I'm not a fan of when Shakur did it. I'm just going to read it down within this generation of boxing. We had Tank, we had Shakur, we had Benavidez, you got Keyshawn, and you got Cool Boy. These are some of the biggest names that miss weight. Yeah, there was some other situations where we saw some young prospects or maybe some young contenders blow weight. There was the thing around Cormel Moulton missing weight, and they was like, oh, he came in a full. Yeah, but that fight wasn't going to happen anyway, so there was no real obligation for him to make weight. But when it comes down to the guys, you know, who strategically announce what went wrong and how they're going to talk about, or when they're going to talk about their weight cut, in the case of Cool Boy. Cool Boy, you made it sound as though making weight was a credit application. Whereas you have 4 pounds to lose, or however you balloon up. You got 6 to 8 weeks to make the fight. There was nothing in between. So whether or not the first half of your camp was a fat camp, or you decided to make the second half of your camp a fat camp, it just goes back to the saying, two important sayings. Fight close to your walk around weight or your preferred highest performance weight. You feel what I'm saying? That's number one. Number two, You don't have to get ready if you stay ready. If we're talking about professional boxers and we're just talking about those 2 points, we can't look at a guy like Stephen Fulton, who's just as fat in the face as he was on fight night against Shakur.
Yeah.
Nothing looked different. You feel what I'm saying? And you're talking about, so the whatever before, the night before or whatever, I was still 4 pounds out. Word? And we talking about professionals here. We're seriously talking about professionals, because at the end of the day, out of all of those names that I mentioned, there was only one fighter who was cooked, then recooked, then served again as leftovers, then cooked again. Then they decided to chop them up in little pieces, put them inside some dough. You feel what I'm saying? And make beef patties. They were making meal after meal after meal after meal off of Tank Davis and him missing weight. Oh, he's so unprofessional. What Tank we gonna get next? Fat Tank or on point Tank? Tank don't never take his career serious, and Floyd need to do something. Al need to do something. And I'm sitting there in real time and I'm looking at the situation and I'm saying to myself, yeah, that's highly unprofessional of Tank and stuff like that. But he didn't make excuses. What did he do? He turned around and got his shit together. He told the old cougar, like, Ma, you got to go. You're like, nah, I know why I'm doing this, and I'm not about to go back to Baltimore a loser. Or as we call Baltimore in New York, B-more. I'm not about to go back to B-more as a straight up loser. I came from the bottoms and I'm trying to get to the tippity top. So he got rid of the Doges and all of the wrong people in his camp, and then he made a turn. And after he made that turn, that dude has never had a weight issue. He actually comes in underweight. So with that being said, that's how it's supposed to be done. But Keyshawn, he missed his weight the first time. People are like, no, he tried to use it as the weight bully ploy. You made excuses for him. Then he said, I found God and I was drinking and all of this other stuff. Then the excuses became, oh, we can't talk crap about him because he found God. Benavidez was a person that they cooked. Oh, Benavidez, nah, he don't deserve this. He don't deserve a fight with Canelo. He missed weight at 160 pounds. No, how can you? And then he turned around and got caught with that girl in his nose.
Yep.
He don't deserve a fight. He don't deserve nothing. We don't need a person like that in boxing. But then David Benavidez turns around and look at where he is today. He's arguably, or definitely for most people, the guy that's at the top of the division. You know what I'm saying? But Keyshawn finds God. He gets a pass. Cool boy. It's I did everything I could. Shakur, it was everything I did everything I could. I just started pissing blood. Well, did you do everything you could? Because Devin Haney damn near killed himself to make weight in those Cambosis fights. That nigga was looking crazy.
Yeah, that's fact.
You feel what I'm saying?
That's fact.
So I'm just saying, bro. I mean, I've seen other fighters. Frank Martin killed himself. Doesn't have body fat, but he found a way to make weight with the Tank thing, to where Tank is fucking with him like, you want a glass of water, don't you? You thirsty? You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's like, listen, guys, you have a fight date. From the time you sign that contract, if it's a fat camp, go into a pre-camp where you're losing all of that fat. And then start to work yourself into a position to whereas, you're only within a half a pound or a pound a couple of weeks out, and you're being able to maintain that. So the rehydration is only maybe it can be considered as adding back a little bit more power. You know, like the governor on a drag race car, or you see them do the diagnostic after every pass. They get on the computer and then they're looking at stuff and say, okay, what can we push up and dial down towards it'll give us that 1/100th of a second that just boom, we can out 60-foot somebody or get them on the launch. And to me, that's what the last 2 weeks are supposed to be about. Not the fact that you're running on the treadmill and you're like, oh my God, I'm still trying to cut 4 freaking pounds. And then you want to diminish from Oshaki's joint because Oshaki might have gotten wind and he put it out there first to try to get in front of it that, yeah, they're going to try to take this fight from me for Fulton. So when I get on the next big interview, I'm going to put it out there and say, yeah, you know, they took that victory from me because they're going to say, was that the right Fulton? Oh, y'all willing to ask that question for Fulton, but you're not willing to ask it for Tio versus Shakur. Because I just saw the Ring Magazine joint with Abdullah Mason, and the guy was like, you know, and you know, if you want to be like Terrence Crawford or Shakur Stevenson in the way that, you know, Bud beat Canelo, and then in the way that Tio, in the way that Shakur beat Tio, what fight is that for you? I was like, y'all didn't see the Sam Notes fight? So the talking points are there, the weirdness is there. And at the end of the day, for Cool Boy to come out and do this, it's just like, the boxing media is really trying to push these narratives and say these weird things to, you know, make stars. Meanwhile, you're trying to distract and take away from the guys who are the real stars. Because Oshaki has losses, you don't want to get behind him. And this is where I ended off at. You brought up Lamont Roach. It's sad for me because Lamont Roach was a dude that I was a big fan of. I'm still struggling to be a big fan of his, but he's making it difficult for me because this Lamont Roach isn't the Lamont Roach going into the Tank fight that fought Tank. If you look at the mannerisms, you listen to what he's saying, there's a strict agenda for it. And this is 2 times in a row something has seeped out, right? You brought up what Cool Boy said, and he was like, Lamont Roach security carried me to the shower or wherever it was. So I'm like, Lamont Roach security. So why the fuck is Lamont Roach in your corner with you versus Oshak? Lamont Roach was a champion at 130, and we never heard anything about Lamont Roach wanting to get a fight with Oshaki Foster. At least I never heard of it. You know what I'm saying? So my whole thing is, this is 2 times it seems that you're going against Oshaki because there's something you want. I know you want the Shakur fight. So I know the politics you're playing in choosing Ray Ford, because then that choosing Ray Ford is your best option for you to get the Oshaki fight. I mean, for you to get the Shakur fight. Oshaki wins, that deads you getting the Shakur fight, because then they say, if that fight happens at 35, if Shakur goes back down to fight you at 35 and you go back down to 35 to fight Shakur, then Shakur just ducked what's the name, knowing that this man's gonna be there at this fight. And the crazy thing is, if Shakur does not show up at the Lamont Roach fight, at the Oshaki Foster fight, that'll tell you everything you need to know. And that's where I'll end it, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna double back to the Roach, Hollywood Roach. But a couple things. The guy Michael Eifert, he's probably listed as inactive because he hasn't fought since August of 2024.
True.
But he did get a unanimous decision against an Asian Pascal. And remember, Pascal was giving Beterbiev everything he wanted before Beterbiev turned up on his ass and got that cut. He had that cut, and he just wound up brutalizing Pascal. But he did box Pascal to a UD, so the guy can box. He can box a little bit, but he just been inactive, so that's probably why. But I think that's a good touch. As far as Maul, he was added to the Tim Tszyu Earl undercard. So Zuffa, sit down and shut the fuck up and stop clout chasing, because Maul, he got a spot. And good. I don't think right now, he could have went to Zuffa, but Maul is not one of them guys. He's nowhere near in the class of a Berlanga who could benefit from it, or maybe even a De Los Santos or one of these other guys that defected over there, because Hitchens didn't even need to do it. Yeah. So Maul's going to be on the, I don't know who this news just came out, but I don't know who his opponent is, but he was added to that undercard, so that's good news for Maul. And Hollywood Roach, he's saying he's permanently campaigning at 35 until till told otherwise, unless something big presents itself back at 40. But he's saying he'll be at 35. He's already signed up. I think his application already went through, so he's an extended. I think he's in the same line as a Hitchens as far as the extended Brat Pack, family pack plan. I think he get nights and weekend minutes. And what was shocking to me about Hollywood Roach, to highlight your point, and I was huge on Lamont Roach. I was like, hey, two guys from the DMV, even though Baltimore is not really the DMV. You know what I'm saying? The DMV is really like Fiji County, Maryland, where I'm from, and then like DC and Northern Virginia, like certain parts. So it's not everything, and Baltimore is outside of that, even though for internet purposes and when we're talking, I don't think people from this area should get so offended when they include Baltimore in the DMV, because you know what people are saying. People from DC, Maryland, Virginia area, that's what they're saying, even though us from here know what the DMV mean. So I was huge on Lamont Roach. I was hoping they didn't rob this guy against Hector, and they didn't. They did right by him, and I was really pulling for Roach. I like this character and all this, but I call him Hollywood Roach. He went Hollywood Roach, and what he told me, what he said, not what he told me, but what he said that stuck out to me, what I meant to say was, he gave his reasoning for picking Ray Ford, and I'm like, okay, you got a guy in Nova who fought them both. He gave his take, right? So we heard his take, and his take was good. He was like, man, I got Shockey, man. He's like, yeah, Ray, he got a chance, but like, I'm thinking that he was saying, I'm thinking that from my experience, he's like punch placement, having better offense, better defense, everything better, way better footwork. He emphasized the footwork. That's a guy that shared the ring with him. Not a guy that was sparring, not a guy that's part of the friends and family network, not a guy that's trying to be affiliated and not go against the masses and suffer the backlash. But what he said was, when they asked him, they said, well, a lot of people are saying that Oshaki has way more experience, which he does have 24 wins, 3 losses. Ray Ford got 18 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, I think. He said experience don't matter. I said, wow, Lamont. Wow. Experience don't matter. So your experience in there, your experience in the ring with Tank, your experience in there with Pitbull Cruz. It's not gonna matter going into your next fight. So I'm gonna keep that in mind when Lamont finally gets. I thought it was a Peta. You know what I'm saying? I thought that's the news that we were waiting on because he keeps saying it's nothing etched in stone and summertime. He's saying summertime, but nothing etched in stone. So I don't know what's going on. I just know that he's Hollywood now, and that just shocked me. To where it's like to this whole thing about the politics and this thing what I've been saying here lately, right here. This right here. How boxing politics has been ruining boxing. It's just like people just they want to be in so much. They want to be down like Brandy. I just want to be down like Brandy. It's like some of the stuff that they say. It shocks me as boxing pundits, as boxing fans, as people who've never shared the ring. So your opinion matters more than the guy that shared the ring with him. And now in your position, you saying that experience don't matter. So I'll drop it right there. And those are the only things that you brought to mind when you went over the housekeeping. So we'll transition into the meat and potatoes, man. The big thing here with the meat and potatoes is Tim Bradley, man. And I'm gonna double back around and say that, listen, Tim, I salute you, man. You're a Hall of Famer. Like, what we're getting ready to talk about and discuss and break down what you said in this, well, I think it was like 4 minutes. So it's not that long. But like what you said, it propels me to say that, listen, my salutes are always going to be just as big as my criticisms. So I might have some criticism just like everybody else. This is a, you know, it's a content creator / boxing analyst, you know, of some sort who, you know, I bring out facts like Oshaki's plus minus rate is the why I don't see it 50-50. Maybe I see it 65-35 or 70-30 maybe. You know what I'm saying? Maybe, you know, something like 60-40 maybe, you know. But Tim came out and he said some things, and this is the vein in which I said, listen, this is YouTube gold right here. And these are the things that if Tim stays in this vein, not just because I'm rooting for Oshaki, but Tim made a prediction, but just the vein in which he's saying it, and then it's almost like he heard what you said the other day, AC, because you said, hold on, man, when Oshaki beat Fulton, and right after that, Tim came out and did a video talking about how Oshaki and Shakur would be the perfect fight, and that's, you know, he was damn near saying he see that as 50-50. And then when the Oshaki Ray Ford fight got announced, it's almost like he did a pivot. He did a 180, and we both was like scratching our heads like, hold on, Tim, wasn't you just saying that Oshaki do many of the same things, that he got the same skills and capabilities, and he do many of the same things that Shakur, and how, you know, that's a dangerous fight and that's tricky, and you know, that's gonna be a fight, and now you're pivoting because Ray Ford, and I didn't understand it. But I think when Tim said something, that's why I said all that dick riding, all that throat coat spraying, tonsil jewelry displaying, reach around extending and all that, knee pads and all that, it don't work, even for Hall of Famers. So if it don't work for a Hall of Famer, shit, I'm not gonna put on no knee pads anyway. But I damn sure ain't gonna do it as a content creator. Why? Because the minute you say something that's adverse to any one of these boxers, like me, I could go buy tickets to a Boots fight, but the minute I say, hey man, we gotta see him against another mover, I'm a hater. So I'm like, all that D-ride and all that extra shit that you do for these guys, it ain't gonna make no difference, because when they catch wind of something that you say that's adverse, they gonna come out and shit on you. Much like how Shakur did with Tim like 2 weeks ago. A week and a half ago, he said, man, I lost all respect for Tim. He's like, for me, it ain't no coming back. Don't ask me for this. Don't do this. I won't be doing that. Shakur got all in his feelings, all because Tim Bradley finally told the truth. And that's probably why a lot of these guys go along with the boxing politics. So I actually wanted to play this, because I think Tim's like, well, fuck it. Well, I might well just tell the truth. If I'm not going to be in your good graces, shit, I might well just go ahead and tell the truth. And that's what guys like me and AC been saying the whole time. Like, Tim, just keep it a buck. You a Hall of Famer. You got the credentials. You're going to blow. You're going to get a check. People they already know your name. You already great. You already financially lit. Your family is well off. You know, no outside of the ring issues. You shared the ring with legends. You have nothing to lose by telling the truth. And so now Tim is doing that. And so I'll say that, you know, this is not my material, you know, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowances made for fair use purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair. And I always say, that's all we want to do is on this channel, man. I'll be so proud listening to the playback of AC. Even we don't like, even if he like a fighter and I like a fighter, or we lean in a certain way, we still biases and all. We still try to keep the conversation, the balance of fair. And that's why we'll always, whenever we decide to get on, we'll always be able to have a good show, because we're just gonna try to tip the balance in favor of fair and let the listeners be the judge. We're not gonna try to persuade you into anything. But I thought this was great for Tim to do this, and I wanted to highlight it. It's a short clip, and I'm gonna play it. So let me go ahead and play it. Let me cue this up for y'all. Let me play this.
Yo, Tim Desert Storm Bradley, you already know the damn rest. Just got done watching that press conference with Ford and Shakur Foster. This black on black crime gonna be for real. It's gonna be off the chain. Ooh, it's gonna be off the chain. Can't wait. Can't wait. Can't wait. Can't wait. Look, you know, Ford is like a little baby replica of Shakur Stevenson. Like a little baby replica of him, man. You know, like a.
Now I've heard that, and I was kind of happy for Ray Ford, because I used to be big on Ray Ford, man. I don't think he's a baby replica of Shakur Stevenson, so I don't agree with that part, because he's not. Even though Shockey said there's things that Ray Ford brings to the table as far as his offensive output. Now, back when Shakur let his hands go, I could see it. But like, no, I don't. I think because they train together, and the defensive side, he tries to adapt some of the things that Shakur does as far as head movement and foot placement. But like, I don't think that they have the same style. So I don't agree with that, but let's go on.
A little dialed down version of him. Shakur, if Shakur wins this fight and look hella good doing it, Shakur still ain't got no dance partner. They need to fight. They need to fight.
That's what we've been saying. And this is where everybody's scared to say. You got people like Boom talking about, I hope Ray Ford wins so that he never gets a shot at Shakur. The gayest shit I've ever heard, especially coming from a boxing fan who want to see great boxing. But Tim, I guess he had to come to a quote unquote come to Jesus meeting. So now he's finally saying what need to be said.
In Texas, in Houston. That'll be one of the biggest fights in Houston. Shakur Foster and Shakur Stevenson. Because you know,
a Hall of Famer just said that'll be one of the biggest fights. I wouldn't even say in Houston. I'm just saying right now with the status quo of what's going, not the status, but the status of boxing, the state of boxing, especially with American boxing fans and, you know, skilled, you know, fighters and all that. That's a big fight, y'all. It don't got everything ain't got to be blockbuster, but that's a big fight. But go ahead.
Let me ask you this question. If promoted right, could that be their both headline a Vegas card?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course, especially with the run that Shakur's on. He do this like If it's anything similar to what he did to Foster with the wave that Shakur got right now, hell yeah.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
that's what I'm thinking too. And when you said it doesn't have to, I was like, I don't understand why that fight, if it does happen, couldn't be in Vegas and promoted right, and all of the tangible things I mentioned, like Oshaki reaching out to the WBC and everything. If all of that's brought out and that's part of the marketing and stuff like that, then yeah, that's a Vegas fight for sure, and it's gonna bring out everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Shakur ain't fighting no damn Ford. You know Shakur ain't fighting no damn Keyshawn, none of them. I mean, he made alliances with all these dudes. You know, they're my brothers. They're my brother. That's my brother. Ain't got no kind of blood or kin or nothing. Yeah, Lamont Peterson was my brother too. Shit, I remember playing, you know, Pity Pat with I think that's what that shit was called. Spades, I know that. On the train with my brother. Lamont Peterson. But shit, I had the title. And he wanted it. So we had to fight. That's just what it is.
Bars. See, this is what I be talking about as far as this is what you expect from Hall of Famers, where they draw back from their past of things that they had and they, you know, make it relevant to what's going on with the climate of boxing, y'all. So I love that, man. This is the Tim I be saying, man, listen, Tim, I like Tim. When he doing shit like this, I like this, Tim. I say, man, listen, I'll be tuned in. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say I'm waving no pom-poms, but I'll be saying, hey, look, check this video out from Tim, or I'll be hitting the like button. I'll be doing a little something, you know what I'm saying? Like contributing to the channel in any way, saying that, hey, man, Tim be talking that, you know what I'm saying, that shit in this vein. This is all I ask from him, Ward, Roy Jones, Tarver. This is even Sergio Mora, if he, you know what I'm saying, because sometimes I like Sergio, but like sometimes I'm like, oh, you company man. I understand when you got the company man hat, but Tim is not a like, I know he get a check from time to time and he might want a little Zuffa or something like that, but like this right here, Tim, you'll eat all day like this if you just keep it real and just keep it relevant and you state from your experiences and you make it relevant to everybody else so they can understand. And now is the time when you're just now starting to say, man, this brotherhood stuff. Well, he done said some things about Keyshawn, but I said, listen, I don't even want to see that shit. Cause they're gonna take our money. Ain't gonna be no aggression in that fight. They're gonna get in there, they're gonna take everybody's money. You know what I'm saying? And they not really gonna fight each other like they're trying to fuck each other up. That's why I don't even want to see it. That's why I'm saying I was perturbed before and saying don't ask. Now I'm saying, listen, it's a waste of time, and they're gonna take y'all money because they're not gonna take my money for that shit. I don't even want to see it. But now he's starting to say all these alliances, and I've noticed something about Shakur, and I'll cook on this after this gets done. Like I've parking allotted it, but I've noticed something about Shakur, being a Shakur fan for many years before I finally said, you know what, the same way I did Richard Hitchens when I got off. But all these alliances he's just now talking about. But I'm gonna come back to the point that I got, but I'm gonna let this go because it's only 4 minutes. We 2 minutes in already, so it's only 2 minutes left.
It's called a sport, people. Yeah, it's business too. However, yeah, Shakur, you're gonna have to I know you sent your little minion to test the waters. And
what was I saying? What was me and AC been saying all this time? It's like, man, you sent this guy you put this battery in this man back, and it was no beef. You sent this man out. This is what I've been saying. Like, you like Batman with all these little gadgets, and these weapons, and you got all these little people that you can just activate. Yeah, go do this, go do that, go do this. And so now Tim is just now coming around and say, yeah, you sent your little minion. And so when I said it, it's a problem when I do it, but when they do it, on some finesse 2 times type shit. Shout out to Houston.
see what you can do, see what he can do to be able to see what you can do.
Scouting report. That's another thing. It's either do sparring or sending somebody in sending somebody in to do something, or think about it. He forced to pay it after he seen Tevin Farmer. And Tevin Farmer, he seen what Tevin Farmer was able to do with Moritaya, and now all of a sudden he want to fight Moritaya. Eureka.
Oh yeah, we heard about the sparring sessions. Yeah, I take a sparring session, like a grain of salt. But yeah, Foster's been saying he's been always got in your ass. He said he's always that you've never had a good day in camp with him, ever.
Say what? What? So Tim recognizing what O'Shakur been saying. So all these people said, "Oh man, he just clout chasing. The man said they sparred plenty of time, and Shakur never had a good day." It's funny how when he goes spar or whatever, and he got his eyes set, yeah, it's all systems go. He want to go because remember, he sparred with Tio and all that. It was all systems go. He wanted to do it. He didn't spar with Sabril Matias, but he never got his ass in the ring with Sabril Matias. He didn't come up to 40 for Sabril. He might now after the Dalton situation, and now Sabril might not be the same guy, but peep game.
In the history of your existence. So, you say you want to fight twice a year? Oh yeah, September, November-ish, October. Oh yeah. Foster get this win. Oh, we the fans, if we can't get Haney or anybody else, yeah, we the fans. If O'Shakur get this dub Saturday, hey, bruh, we ain't telling you what to do, but we just saying, oh, because you already know O'Shakur gonna call your name. He gonna call your name. He the one that's saying that you fake. He the one that say he can tap that ass. Easy, Shakur. Yeah, talk is cheap, but you supposed to be that one. Anyways, Tim Desert Storm Bradley, you already know the damn rest. And I'm out.
Hey man, that's that blue magic, man. You don't put no cut on that, man. You just serve that straight like that, man. Don't put no cut. You know what I'm saying? You don't put no cut on that, man. That was Tim Desert. I was calling him dessert. You know what I'm saying? Or I had another choice word, but like, man, I'm respectfully, I'm gonna say that's Desert Storm right there, man. Talking that really real, man. Talking that stuff. Me and AC already been. All these things, man, AC already been saying, man. Straight up and down, straight like that, man. We've been saying these things. We just got qualified because of Hall of Famers saying it now. But these are things that we had already been saying, man. What you think about that, AC?
Man, watching that video, I didn't know the dynamic of Shakur saying what he said about him that led him to say that and things like that. So for me, my initial reaction was, what the hell did Shakur do that done pissed off Tim Bradley? You know what I'm saying? Because the beautiful thing about Tim Bradley is at times he says, you know what? My responsibility is to bring this certain level of honesty. Now, I'm going to do it when shit just gets that egregious. When he broke down what was going on with the sanctioning fees, and then he was like, you know what? Half the time I didn't even pay sanctioning fees because I negotiated out of it. And he was also saying, without saying, being very political in the fact that if you just do right by the sanctioning bodies, you can negotiate almost anything with the sanctioning bodies. Even down to a fucking payment plan if that's what you wanted to do. But anything and everything is possible because you are the commodity. You know what I'm saying? So when he broke that down, when he initially came out and was talking about like 3 days after the whole thing with after Shakur beat Tio, and he was like, "Y'all want to know who's the perfect fight? Y'all want to know who's, about as close as you gonna ever get to a 50-50 fight with Shakur Stevenson?" He said, O'Shaquie Foster. And he gave O'Shaquie all of these flowers, right? So with that being said, you know that Tim has an ear. You know Tim can see certain things. Tim Bradley will probably, if that man decided to be a trainer, he might be one of those dudes that's a 100% legendary trainer because of his understanding of both the boxing game, the business of boxing, and how to become a champion and retain being a champion and move like a champion. So Tim would, like, if he had like a solid pupil up under him and he was really working this dude like that, he would be excellent. Just like we would think that would happen, if a fighter like Andre Ward got somebody, Tarver got somebody. You know what I'm saying? And some of these other guys who showed that, yeah, I have this understanding, but what happens is because of the business of boxing and because they've just become tunnel vision to the fuckery of boxing, unless it directly falls in their lap, and then they understand, well, that's just the politics and business of boxing. Some of these guys, I feel like their responsibility, if that's the right word I'm using, should be to, instead of having this quote going around that, oh, you don't understand shit about boxing. Okay, you're the Hall of Famer. We've got more boxers that have podcasts and shit like that now than we've ever had in the history of boxing. Why is that statement still relevant when at the end of the day, certain podcasts and certain things, you feel what I'm saying? And dare I say, even this podcast would kind of be irrelevant, or we would only be doing reactionary shit based on what the real Hall of Famers who got the real podcasts, we would be like running to them as our gospel and Bibles and stuff like that, and then breaking down what they did or what they said, like Sunday school. But that's not the case. Half the time nowadays you have the content creators being way more honest than the Hall of Famers and being more consistent with that honesty. And this is the part where it's like, listen, for all of you Hall of Famers out there, or potential Hall of Famers, y'all got to get y'all shit together and really understand, okay, you can take this, paycheck and be the mouthpiece, but your legacy is now what happened in the ring versus how you are outside the ring. Mm-hmm. So in the ring, you moved this way. You was running towards the smoke. You was X, Y, and Z. But now that you're not in the ring no more, what is all of this political fluff bullshit you keep feeding me? What happened to I don't give a fuck, I run towards the smoke and I'm knocking the shit out of everybody? Why can't that same attitude be in the way you're delivering your content and show us that, yeah, this kid right here, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, my channel, I do have biases because I look for the guys who were had the same mentality I had when I was boxing. And these are the guys I point out. Nobody would have a problem with that. Us boxing fans will be like, let me check out what homeboy got to say about this fight. Let me go and see who he has to say about this fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But where are the guys who's talking to us like that? Where the fuck are they at? Roy does it every now and again. Ward does it every now and again. This guy does it every now and again. Who the fuck is consistent out here?
Yeah, I think it's a lane. It's a lane for that. That's why I was kind of trying to see how, even though he's not, I don't think he's gonna be a Hall of Famer, but what's his name? Dark skin. What's his name? He fought
Carver?
He Haitian. He used to slap people to sleep though, boy. He had power, man. If that storm wouldn't have happened, I think it was a storm in Haiti, and it set him back. What's his name? I forgot. I was looking for what he was going to do because he got a lot of personality. Damn, I can't think of his name. You know what I'm talking about? He's short, dark skin. He fought the Ghost. He fought Guerrero. Why can't I think of his name?
Let me try this. What weight class?
I think he was lightweight and welterweight. He's been around a lot of people. He's friends with a lot of people. He was just with AB and Dean and them. But anyways, I was looking forward to what he was bringing to the streaming because I think Dean had saw him talking to AB in the back room, and I'm like, okay, yeah, he'll be able to keep AB in line a little bit. Remember we were talking about AB and him streaming, and he'll need somebody to keep him, kind of keep the train on the tracks, and that's kind of what, as a young guy, Dean has done that for the most part. But
it wasn't Evans Pierre, right?
No.
Darian John.
No. Somebody more popular. I forgot. I mean, why can't I think of his name? It'll come to me. When I say it, you can be like, oh yeah. I could find out right now. Let me see. Because it's gonna bother me.
Yeah, I hate when shit like that happens to me. It's just like I can't get it out of the way.
I was looking to see. My point is, I was looking to see what he was going to bring to the streaming game because I was looking towards the Durrell. You had Andre Durrell, and I liked some of his points. But then I said, "Oh man, you definitely playing politics."
Andre Berto. Yeah. Okay.
Berto.
When you said Andre, I was like the only Andre that I knew.
Yeah. I was looking to see what he gonna bring because he got the personality. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I'm not sure. I don't think he's gonna be a Hall of Famer or whatever. But like, he does have the pedigree. He was a likable guy, popular guy. Like when he in his prime, he was slapping people to sleep. Like he was. Yeah. But I was looking to see what he brought. But like, I think Roy just turned the corner. I think the Zuffa shit probably enlightened him to say, "Look, man, I gotta keep it all the way real." That's why for a minute, not now. Like if Tim stay in the same vein, I wanted him and Roy to switch places because Roy is more known as a trainer now, and we don't see him. Because I love to hear Roy when he called fights. Like when Roy used to call fights, because he could see the shit coming. He could tell you what was going to happen before it happened. He had the vision. So like Andre Ward definitely disappointed me, especially when he was like, stuff like the advice and some of the things he was telling Shakur. I'm like, man, that's I don't understand why. Like you a pastor, you got bread, you walked away with all your faculties, family, wholesome guy, you got everything. There's no need for all this cap in your rap. But to your point originally, that's what I was doing originally, because I would come out and I would say, because I was competing with people who were already tenured in YouTube, and I'm like, I know what I'm seeing and I know what I'm saying, but I felt like, just like when you write a report, you got to cite your references. I was doing a lot of that because, believe it or not, I have like before there was Tarver's Take, Bodywork did Tarver's Take. Like before Antonio Tarver actually did Tarver's Take, the original Tarver's Take was Bodywork taking something that Tarver said, calling it Tarver's Take before he officially did Tarver's Take. And I used to do it a lot with Teddy because Teddy was my guy. Like Teddy Atlas, man, he was like my boxing Bible. I love Teddy. I still love Teddy to this day in a lot of things. But then when I started seeing him play the political game, I was like, Teddy, why, bro? Why? So I stopped listening. I'll chime back in every now and again, but now I see when he's playing the game, because I'm gonna tell you, man, it's not easy going against the masses and like in the political bullshit, because it's numbers. Like when they say it's safety in numbers, there really is safety in numbers, to where it's like people can hide behind all like the TBV and Fanon and Ego and all these major channels that got all these numbers. They can hide behind what they say, and as long as you in the vein, you know you're gonna get a part of the market share. This is why people go over to their channels, befriend them, get all in their good graces, you know, get followers from them, get subscribers from them, and then they eventually find a way to knife them in the back and then go do their own thing. It happens. I've seen it happen over and over. I said, I'm not going to be one of them people. I'm going to be one of them people to where, look, the only thing that's going to keep me relevant and keep me out here doing my thing is by me just looking at the landscape, reading the tea leaves, and just speaking the truth. And I'll never have to like do nothing weird or crazy or be sensational, because I always have something to talk about as long as I speak about it from a true relevant point. But that's what I used to do. I used to listen to what Teddy said. I'll be making a point and I'll hear what Teddy say, and I'll do a video highlight what Teddy said and what I said, and then saying, see, I'm telling y'all. So I did it with Tarv, I did it with Teddy. I used to do it with a lot of guys. And there is a place for these guys that they can take over streamers. They can become more popular, but like when they get in the game and they start playing a political game, people are like, oh, well, you're going to pigeonhole. Yeah, you're going to get your market share, a definite market share, but you're going to pigeonhole yourself into a small little hole. You're gonna put yourself in a narrow gap to where it's like, oh, well, we know he full of shit. Because there's people that tune into him and say, oh, man, you full of shit, man, dude. Like, why are you always... And it's trolls. But like, no, all you gotta do is do what Tim just did. Just speak the truth, man. As a Hall of Famer, you got everything going for you. You see his personality. You know, he's funny. Tim is funny. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, as long as he do this, he's gonna be all right. But there is a lane for some of these other guys, man, while they, like you said, while they bullshitting, to jump in that lane and hit it.
Yeah, I mean, like, Tim can easily cover boxers. He's a boxer. Very, very low knockout ratio, according to his own words. So Tim won't bore us with talking about the sweet science. When Tim was sitting there and he said something that made me, you know, put up an eyebrow when it came to the Brian Norman, no, not Brian Norman, the Teofimo Lopez versus Shakur fight. And he said, he just was saying this, look, everybody thinks, you know, I only could talk about Shakur, but this is what Teo can do to beat Shakur. And he told everybody that blind spot that Shakur has, because he said when Shakur has his guard up and Shakur goes into his high guard, it's not complete, because the high guard is not what he wants to do. He only puts it up to walk forward and try to intimidate. You know what I'm saying? But it's not a real defensive mechanism for Shakur. And he said if Teo throws the hook properly, and he said the thing about the hook and Teo's hook is because it's in the plane, then it exits the plane, and by the time it comes back into the plane, it's very, very hard to block it, because you're like, where did it go? And you may be looking for that punch. And he said this is the problem with many of these young fighters with defending the left hook, because the left hook is in the plane, it exits the plane, and by the time it comes back in the plane, it's like a gunshot. By the time you heard the sound, more than likely you're hit. So I was like, wow. See, that's the Tim Bradley I would tune in 7 days a week and twice on Sunday if he broke shit down like that to me every fucking day. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think Ryan, that's part of the secret sauce with Ryan's hook.
Yeah.
Because if you're not sound in the way and how he throw it, and he can adjust it, that hook, it can land on the jaw, the temple, or the side of the head, the top of the head. He can calibrate that motherfucker as he throw it. So that's part of his secret sauce when he throw it.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh shit. Yo, Tim's IQ is crazy. If you could just break some shit down like that into that being that simple in basically a 4.5 minute video or 6 minute video, I was just like, wow. Tim Bradley must have been, I mean, I seen his fights, but maybe it was unappreciative because when Tim Bradley was out, who else was there? Tim Bradley was,
Floyd, Pacquiao, yeah.
Yeah, you feel what I'm saying? He was overshadowed by the people above him, and he was overshadowed by the young guns coming in under him. You know what I'm saying? He was a very, very solid medium fighter. You know what I'm saying? The same thing I would say about Andre Berto. Like, I like Tim Bradley and I like Andre Berto, but at the end of the day, could they really, really compete with the guys that were really, really there at their prime? No. They would have got washed, but they came to fight. And that's the part that I respect about them. These dudes weren't going to be the dudes to lay down. You got to fight them for every second of every minute in that 12-round fight. Because the minute you take your shit off, their boxing skill is going to make you pay and put your shit in some real trouble. So once you got the pressure, you got to keep it on. Go ahead.
What's that saying? They say hard work beats talent when talent something.
Yeah, when talent doesn't work hard.
That's what Tim was. So you could have him outgunned, outmatched, but he's gonna work harder, and then what he knows and sticking to a game plan, he gonna get it done. You know what I'm saying? And I think when it came down to Berto, I think that he might not have been as skilled, but he had some power. Like when he got revved up, like I saw some of his highlights and I was asking, because I think that's when I stepped away for a second. But when I was looking at, when I go back and look at Berto, I think it was timing. I think that when something happened, I think when it was some kind of storm or something happened when he was getting ready to have his big fight, and he had to help his people in Haiti. Because I was asking my father-in-law, I'm like, what happened with Berto? And he broke it down. I said, man, because that dude, man, had he got a shot in his prime, like he had that power. Like I can't say it was like Tank power, but it was similar. It was like where it's like, yeah, he had fight changing power to where if he catch you clean, and you had to be on your P's and Q's the whole time. So I think that was part of his issue.
Yeah, Berto's issue for me was you just carried way too much muscle. You were like Frank Martin. Both of y'all just carrying way too much muscle. You know what I'm saying? In skill wise, I did feel Tim Bradley was the better boxer to answer Johnny Allison's comment. I did feel Tim was the better boxer, but Berto could box and he didn't mind taking a risk. Berto take two to deliver his. You feel what I'm saying? Like that Aaron Pryor type shit, but it was just like, Berto, do something about all of that muscle, bruh. I understand that that's your physique and everything, but put the weights down. Deal with calisthenics. You feel what I'm saying? Do some running inside of a pool of water or some shit like that. Just transform some of that bulky muscle into a leaner, longer muscle to where you have functional strength, not just power. And I think that was Berto's biggest issue. When I look at him, I'm like, you're a powerful kid, but you probably one of them big muscle dudes that ain't got no real body weight to you. Like a person could just pick you up and manhandle you and throw you down, but you know, if you get the jump on him and grab a dude first, you're gonna be like, oh my God, this dude is fucking strong.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? But once you actually get into the mix and start maneuvering and wrestling them, you're like, oh, this nigga's just strong on the initial shit. Like if he got a good grip, then he's strong. Now I could twist this dude up and, you know, get him on the ground and then, you know, then start to ground and pound his ass. You know what I'm saying? Tim Bradley gonna be the dude that you're going to have issues even trying to grab, because he gonna use that lead hand approach. And the minute you try to duck down and shoot for that joint, he gonna hold your shoulder or the top of your head and buck, throw a nice little uppercut, make you stand up, and throw a hook and a couple of straights after that. So yeah, I felt Tim was a better boxer, but Berto was just that guy that took chances. You know, he was a little bit less calculated, and his athleticism and that pure power and explosiveness is what made people look at Berto and Tim Bradley as, yo, I would love to see that fight. And that was a fight that I thought we was going to see, but I think that was the fight that was one of the fights that everybody was talking about before that hurricane wiped out Haiti.
Yeah, it was somebody. Yeah, that might have been, but this what I'm gonna say. You know, I was talking about how sometimes I used to wish that Roy and Tim would switch places, because I think that the training aspect of Roy is where his fighters go wrong, because you see everyone his fighters try to get in there and do like what Roy do, and it's like that's a recipe for disaster. Roy, Floyd, there's a couple fighters to where you try that shit that they was doing, they were just physically, athletically gifted and you know, universe given talent to where they can pull it off. But like you trying to do it ain't gonna work. So I used to want them to switch, but I'm gonna tell you what's so scary. If Adrian Broner can find a way to put that bottle down, whether he boxes again or not, because I think the boxing has passed him. It's these young boys. We seen what Blair did. Nobody considers Blair a world beater. And what he was at, he knocked his tooth out. But like, if AB was to put that bottle down and he actually got on YouTube and really on some boxing shit because of how he is, it's just like when Dean would talk about, I want that smoke with Tank, and he said, listen, now this was his gift horse. He looked his gift horse in the mouth and said, nah, bro. He's like, nah. He's like, I love you and all that, but like you trying to get in there with Tank, nah, bro. I gotta be honest with you. Let's not even talk about that. So if he's able to put that bottle down and get on YouTube, a lot of these motherfuckers online gonna be in trouble, because he got the personality. People gonna want, he's gonna bring the humor in with it, and he got the culture. He kind of got the culture, but he can't put that bottle down. So I'm like, it's almost like with Tank being gone in the game and how people won't grab a hold of what's going on now. If Adrian Broner sobers up and he gets online and get in a position like Ward, like Tim, he gonna make a lot of people scoot over and cover down in the military. Like we say, go ahead and cover down. You know what I'm saying? When you got rank, you slide in rank and you tell somebody, go ahead and cover down. You know what I'm saying? Scoot down. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's gonna happen, man. So if AB get it together, he gonna be serious on YouTube. He's already is, but in a different way. I think he's gonna get in trouble when it comes to these women if they keep going down the path. Because with this climate, everybody looking for a lawsuit, everybody looking for a come up. All it's gonna take is for drinking and alcohol being involved. And I don't care if the shorty is with it; she's ready to do everybody and do this. If alcohol's involved, and she wake up and say, "Hey, what happened? I don't remember. I don't recall." You're done. So I think they count on borrowed time, and I think AB need to put that bottle down, man, and notice that it's a lane for him out here, because everybody's not keeping it a buck. Even Tarver, he be surprising me sometimes. I'm like, wow. I mean, because he's not as popular as Ward and them, but Tarver, I love Tarver's takes. You know what I'm saying? But like, I've noticed it's been a little bit more political than I like here recently. Just like Teddy, that's why I don't tune in as much. I still lend them my ear every now and again, but like, there's a lot of people that used to have gloves on in this space that just not keeping it the way Tim just kept it in that episode right there.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, man, my whole point of bringing up all of these legends in boxing is just to say, okay, again, I have to go back to the thumbnail, and everybody shows the picture of Roger Mayweather, and it's the most used quote, whether you're trying to do whatever it is you're trying to do. And for me, when it comes from the boxer or someone who's actually in the field and I can quote them, when I'm in a on someone else's channel and I'm explaining what a boxer said and they want to choose to narrate what that person said, or then try to gaslight you to where you're like, okay, what did I miss in between me just watching this person say this maybe a half an hour ago or an hour ago, seeing your thumbnail, clicking on your thumbnail, and now you're going with this narrative, but I just heard this Hall of Fame fighter who has a direct relationship with this person come out and say, no, it's this, it's that, it's yada, yada, yada. This sanctioning fee is blah, 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 blah. And then everyone is up there like, where are you getting that information? Like, who told you that? Like, see, this is the problem. Boxing fans don't be knowing shit about boxing. And I'm not finna listen to nobody on YouTube try to tell me shit about business and boxing. And then I'm sitting there like, bro, then what the fuck are you doing? You're the one with the channel. Like, what the fuck, bruh? Don't try to gaslight me on both ends. You just said some bullshit on YouTube. Now I'm here to tell you that this person who's in the business, and I have my own business, I'm not an employee of nobody. We both agree. That's why I agree with him, because I can see what he's saying because I have my own business. And there are fees once you're a boss. As an employee, you don't have those fees. You feel, and I'm like, do you understand that? Yeah, but you can't be saying in the sanctioning bodies that, what about Canelo? Bro, why are you bringing up Canelo? Because they always do. Well, let me ask you a question. Name me a black fighter in boxing right now. Since you want to be on that, name me a black fighter right now that brings more money to boxing than Canelo Alvarez, brings more money to that particular sanction body than Canelo Alvarez, and has never complained about it. You can't, because the business side of things say, if you're the guy who's bringing in the money and you're the cash cow, then the cash cow gets to bend a couple of rules. I may look a different way when the cash cow just, gets a little pissed at me. Like, yeah, he's a little pissed. Let him sit down. Let him calm down. He'll kind of see it our way, and we'll all just figure out a way to get along and move forward. But everybody just wants to stay in their emotions and their reactionary emotions, to whereas people are telling you something or trying to share something that's actual facts and open your eyes to something. I don't have to share it with you, but we're choosing to share this information with you so you have another perspective. You know what I'm saying? And within that perspective, you can now say, well, that perspective allows me to now move in a 360 manner around that same situation, not like I'm just moving horizontal in front of it. Because moving horizontally in front of something, you only can move a half inch or an inch. How much of a difference did you really see? Not much at all. But if you have the ability to move 360 degrees around it, you see everything. You see everything. And sometimes it just takes someone to point out to you that you have that ability. Like, shit just isn't what they feed you. You do have within your own control the ability to see it from 360 degrees. You just have to be willing to go over to the places and hear what the people that you don't like what they're saying at times, just listen to them. Because they could say something so egregious that you just like, I can't believe this motherfucker just said that. that shit is so crazy. I gotta Google it myself. And you start to Google it yourself and you go down that rabbit hole. And at the end of the day, you find yourself saying, he definitely wasn't right. And now I know the full scale and scope of that bullshit gaslight that he tried to pull on me and everybody else. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you know, that I kind of stepped away from that, but I see it in other ways. They done pivoted to another subject, but like I see that sanctioning body thing and all the sanctioning fees, that just still baffles me. Like, you have people that are online that swear by, they actually poke their chests out. Like, I don't think we do it as far as being business owners and, you know, working for ourselves. We don't really do it. We just said that, hey, look, we looking at it from this paradigm. But they actually poke their chests out and they still come up with ways to say, you know, I'm like, well, these people don't work for free. The sanctioning bodies don't work for free. They sanction the fight. And then we did the episode where we highlighted all the responsibilities and what they have to put up. Like, so you want to reinvent the wheel? Like, why reinvent the wheel when they already, it's like, that's the known evil. Yes, it's flies in the ointment. And that's all they want to do. They want to point all the fingers at the one fly in the ointment, which is the corruption part, which corruption is in everything. We see it in our government. We see it in everything. So it's like, yeah, we can sit there and do that, but like, let's be solution oriented and let's look at it. Because your boxer, you know, the boxer that you like, the boxer that you putting in all this tonsil jewelry for, they're gonna get old. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna go by the wayside. So what? You're gonna use that excuse with everybody? It's just like right now, people are still making content about David Benavidez ducking Joao Batalha. But I'm like, by definition, part of the thing is changing promotional companies. Like going over to an island, the way Shakur went over the Matchroom saying, oh yeah, I want this, and that. Well, you left where it was 3 belts. You didn't go over to the other spot where there was 1 belt, and then you told the people the island that you went to, don't even try to make a fight with that guy. And when that guy's team or whoever contacted you, you said, no, I want a multiple fight. And he said, no, I just want a one night stand. I just want to hit and quit it. And you said, no, I want a multi-fight deal. And then you got a multi-fight deal. They still rationalize this. But here recently, bringing it full circle to this whole Oshaki thing, there are so many people online saying, I even heard the dude YSM, the dude from YSM, Jamil, he was over on another channel saying all this stuff, reiterating the same talking point, talking about Oshaki Foster's more focused on Shakur than anybody. I'm like, he literally in the interview, he literally told, I seen like 3 different interviews where he said, I'm not looking past Ray 4. I know that he's a stepping stone. I know I have to handle him in order to get to Shakur. He said, I'm not looking past him. He said it over and over again. But the talking point, just like the sanctioning fees, like everybody else, since they got it in their mind, I guess they heard one person say, and they're like, yeah. What's going to be the defense against that? Because it's really just an argument of, no, he didn't. Yes, he did. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. No, he didn't. He said he's not looking past Ray Ford. I don't know how many times you got to say that, but that's the narrative. And it's like, okay, so if you go in there and watch him, or if it look anything like what happened with Ford, it might not look like that. It could be a little bit closer. But if you go in there and dominate him the way he said, these people are going to have egg on their face. They're going to have to get a whole nother talking point. But Johnny Allison, what he said was he had a bad weight cut, and Lamont Roach's bodyguard had to pick him up and put him in the shower, and how he ran the night before, he ran a mile and lost a pound, and then he weighed in again, realized he only lost a pound. Then he said he tried to run again and he couldn't do it, and then his right leg cramped up, and then he had to get in the hot tub, and then his bodyguard had all these excuses, basically. Bad weight cut. And he doing it the day before, where it was posted the day before the fight. That's what he said, Johnny. So yeah, I don't like, I'm with you too, T-Mac. I'm like, I'm done. I like Fulton it's nothing really like that Fulton does that I can be like, I hate this guy, or I don't like this guy. It's just I don't like
I don't like how some guys get the excuse, and I brought this up earlier. We don't have, as an Earl Spence fan, I'll speak for myself, as an Earl Spence fan, I don't have the ability to get on anybody's channel and say, oh, well, you know Earl Spence wasn't Earl Spence when he got in. Without hearing, oh, man, here you go. You just hating on Bud. But he gets to do this. He gets to discredit O'Shaquie because he got his ass washed. Because I remember, look, there's several fights where I seen people have terrible weight cuts. But look, let's go back to this one fight. One of the best fighters to ever lace him up, Mr. Gary Russell Jr. When he went in there with Loma, he had a terrible weight cut. I think the scales, something was wrong with the scales, and then I think he had to lose 5 pounds. Guess what? He didn't do what Keyshawn did and just not make the weight. He didn't do what Shakur did and just not make the weight. He made himself cut that fucking weight. He got in there. He didn't have his best performance, but guess what? If they would have counted the drop, if they would have counted the one drop where he got dropped, like there's video where you can clearly see there was no tangling of the feet. He dropped Loma. If he would have got that drop, he could have won that fight, or at a minimum been a draw. Nobody make excuses for him for that. So I've seen people make that cut and then still go in there and do what they got to do. You know what I'm saying? And not get washed. I seen that man, that same guy, Mr. Gary Russell Jr., I seen him with he's a southpaw. And he had a left shoulder injury, so there was no power. There's no left hand power coming behind it. When he fought Mark Maxwell with just the lead hand, you know how difficult that is to dominate a guy with just the lead hand? He didn't make no excuses. He came on and said, but he didn't have to say nothing was wrong because you can clearly see. Just like when we see him fights and they be like, hold on, man, something going on with him. He ain't even throwing his left. It was early. He still dominated that fight, and they pickpocketed that guy because they wanted to get the belt off him, because he wasn't fighting as often enough, because he wanted to get the big fights, and nobody, like the Shakurs of the world, the people that was down in and around his weight class, they didn't want to get in there with him. You know what I'm saying?
And for me, that's why I didn't put Gary Russell on that list of fighters who didn't make weight or had weight issues, because there was a scale issue. And then me saying what I'm saying, even when I text Body with it, and I was saying, look, I'm tired. Like, there have been fighters who gotten ill, caught the flu or stomach virus or some shit like that in the middle of camp, and you know, they just had to completely stop. I can't try to lose weight while I'm ill. You feel what I'm saying? So, or they may have had like a injury, shoulder injury, knee injury, or whatever. So they're gonna have weight issues and stuff like that. Those type of things, no. When it's a full camp, we're not hearing anything, and they got the videos of you and all of this other stuff. And then after the fact, or night of weighings or day of weighings, we hear what we're hearing about you, then the criticism is there. Do I have to go as far as what they did with David Benavidez and Tank? No. But just to keep the same energy, yeah. And it comes down to the point of saying, as a boxing fan, you know what I'm saying? The one professional thing you have to let us know that you're serious is not necessarily winning the fights. It's actually doing, making sure you're living up to all your contractual assignments. And one of them is to actually just make weight. And they give you enough time.
Yeah, and a lot of these sanctioning bodies, they starting to incorporate, well, several of them, they starting to incorporate like weeks out. Like, they're not gonna let you fight if you're too far out, weeks out, like 2 weeks. There's barometers, and I gotta do a segment on that. But there's barometers like 2 weeks out. You got to be within 5 pounds. But that's what happened with Schofield and them. Like, they were trying to say that was an aspect of it. But let me address what T-Mac said, because I'm glad you brought me back around to this, T-Mac. I don't like it either. And guess what? They've already said, yeah, Ray Ford had a terrible weight cut. So that excuse is already out there, bro. And I don't know how I heard so many people saying that, like, yeah, man, because we don't really know what fortune that was. We don't really know what fortune that was that Foster got. So I think that a lot of people just leaning too hard. It's like, I'm with you. How does that work, bro? Like, so we supposed to say we don't know? I mean, you got paid millions of dollars, bro. I don't know the exact purse because I'm not pocket watching, but you got paid handsomely for that fight. It wasn't no chump change, and you already fought anyway. I know you got millions for that, but I know your pay don't really go down. I mean, you could go down a little bit if you lose, but like with your tenure and everything you bring to the table and all that, like you get paid millions of dollars, man. It ain't no excuse, bro. So I don't understand, and they already saying, I'm telling you, T-Mac, they are already saying that Ray Ford had, you can see it, man. Yeah, his eyes, his cheekbones, yeah, he had a terrible weight cut. That's why he was so emotional, and that's why he pushed. And Ray Ford came out and said, no, I just want to get my push back, you know. But we got to fight, and they've already outlined the excuses. They're already there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They're already there. So I don't get it.
I also wanted to talk about this part of that, and just to talk about the corruption where people are like, yo, we got to get the corruption and we got to do something. Yes, that is true. You know what I'm saying? But for all the corruption police out there, the ones who, you know, are like, oh, absolutely, oh, no, everything that's corrupt in boxing and yada, yada, yada. I don't fuck with it. I don't do this. I don't do that. You know, for me, I have to say it like this. There's corruption in everything, but at the end of the day, you can tell me about how much you hate corruption and all of that and yada, yada, yada. But if you're out here watching, you know, shows like The Wire, Power, The Chi, you know what I'm saying, Game of Thrones, all of that shit is about corruption and stabbing motherfuckers in the back. So if you're out there watching that type of stuff and then you're not understanding that there's a certain level of entertainment, and then within that level of entertainment, you got people who are trying to sell you on the fact that this thing that is clearly corrupt is not as bad as you think it is. Terrence Crawford walking away and saying, no, who do they think they are? We had a deal, and then they came and asked me for the money that we made the deal from. And I was like, who do you think you are to ask me for money? And it's like, I'm asking you because we had a deal, and now it's time for you to pay up on that deal. Well, I don't like the fact that you came to me and asked me for this money, and you thinking you're such and such and all of this other stuff, so I'm not going to pay. Well, which one was corrupt? The mere fact that deals were made, you know what's going on. And even with Shakur, deals were made, you know what's going on. But when it's time for you to pay, they're wrong for asking you to pay the deal that you just made. And you can't go and take my money from me.
Right. AC. It's like I come to your restaurant. You know, I come there. Let's say I come there 3 times a month. You see me in there minimum 10 times. It comes to pass where I order this food and I'm like, AC. I'm like, hold on, man. Bro, I eat here all the time, bro. It's like, yeah, but you ordered the filet mignon. You and your missus, y'all had a bottle of wine. 4 or 5 courses, like, and now it's not time to pay. That's how I see it, because it's so elementary in this concept. And this is why I say, man, that's why I don't spend a lot of time, especially people that's not business minded. Because if you're not business minded and you're still thinking like an employee for the most part, you're not going to get this. It's like it goes beyond the fact that, yes, when you won that one title, you paid a sanctioning fee, right? That was in it. But at that point, from that point on, once you win that title, your claim to fame is that I am the WBC champion, blah, 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 2-time lineal, whatever it is or whatever. But at that point in time when you win it, you are the WBC lightweight champion. Even when you go to 140, you're still going to be advertised as the WBC lightweight champion. You know what that means? You're representing that company and that entity. So, yes, if you go put your belt on the line, it's the same thing what happened with Jao Batai, that people couldn't understand this elementary idea. Yeah. You represent the IBF. You cannot. They said if you go over there and you fight, okay, as long as it's for a trinket, it's okay. If you're gonna go over there and try to represent their title, because guess what? This is boxing. You can get hit in your fucking head, and as my champ, I have a vested interest in you. It's not just that I'm getting a portion of your fees. It's like, no, I'm your claim to fame right now. If you would have passed away or whatever, they're gonna announce that, yeah, they're gonna say, yeah, he was the WBC lightweight champion. That's what it was, regardless of what you did before that. You might have been the featherweight WBO, but at this current time, you are the WBC lightweight champion. So if you're gonna put that up for risk, it's either A, it's like okay, I pay for a hotel room, and I'm like, okay, I put down a week, but I'm like, all right, well, just hold my room. I'm gonna go over here and see what's going on over here, but just hold my room. It don't work like that. Well, give me the fee to hold the room because somebody else could be occupying this spot. It's elementary, and people who don't understand, it's because they don't want to understand.
Yeah,
and even though that should not, it's really not none of our business. But like, if we're gonna be politically correct and we're gonna talk about things with and be knowledgeable about it, like we gotta be reasonable. Like that's how business works, bro.
Yeah, and here's the reason why. When Andre Ward brought his lawyer out to try to talk about that situation, the gaslighting part that the lawyer could not speak on and Andre Ward couldn't ask that question because in the deposition or whatever, you just ask this one question and the whole case gets thrown out. You're either going to settle or something else. Did you use the sanctioning body's likeness to make that fight?
Exactly.
And people will look at it and say, well, what's likeness? That's a whole legal term and everything. That's something you could put in your rucksack and just look up the definition of likeness when it comes down to legal terms and shit like that. But if you just ask that one question, everything Bud did and everything Shakur did, it's the reason why they can't take people to court. And Suleiman is actually doing you a favor by not taking you to court because he can take you to court to get that money because you did do that thing. You did the very thing that's within the question. You used the sanctioning body's likeness to go up to 168 and challenge Canelo Alvarez. You were the undisputed champion. So that means every last one of those sanctioning bodies, you used their likeness because you were the champion. You could have been represented as the IBF champion. You could have been represented as the WBO, the WBC, the WBA. You had all of those belts. And when you moved up and you made that fight was predicated on the fact that these two guys are both undisputed champions. They're both on the pound for pound list. Boom, done deal. I get my money and sit back and look at Crawford like, yeah, you can tell your lawyer to say some dumb shit right now, but this case is done.
And this the other thing, AC, because we said it before, but also having a business mindset. The thing is, those fees are tax deductible. So they'll actually help you on your, so it's really not like they're taking it from you because you got to report your earnings, right? And when you report your earnings, you're going to have to pay taxes on that money. It's funny how it wasn't until these guys made it to a certain bracket of their pay to where they started complaining, because people like Tank was complaining about it. People like Floyd was complaining about it. And they had legitimate reasons why, because they was busting the bank wide open. So yeah, but either way, it was a tax write-off. So either way, it's kind of silly because yeah, you gotta pay it, but like it's a tax write-off. And the other thing is this. I talked about this. We had Shakur on TV buying watches. He bought like a couple like 150 grand watches. We talking about 120 for your sanctioning fee, which is a tax write-off, versus you buying multiple watches for 150 grand. So it's like, are you really like, come on, man? What is like with that? And then using the fact that, oh, they just got a vendetta against Bud. It's like, no,
what happened with Bud, they would get the shit sued out of them if you can prove that they just did that because of what Bud did. It's like, no, you trying to follow suit, but like you still right now, you currently our WBC lightweight champion. You said you were coming back down. You didn't come back down. You had like, so it was either way, man. With so many different angles on this thing, business wise, you know, politic wise, to where it just didn't make sense. And I'm not saying I am an advocate for the sanctioning bodies because that's the evil that we know compared to the evil that we don't know, like in the UBO and what Zuffa trying to do. But like at the same time, we know there's corruption. But I always say, okay, well, where was all the backlash when they did the thing with Fulton? When Fulton blew weight, and then they told JDR Herrera, and I think it was that Antonio Moran? It was one of them guys, JDR Herrera and Moran, I think, when they was fighting for it. They told them that he was going to have the interim, and that fight was scheduled. Well, when Fulton missed weight, they said, "Oh well, we'll make this the interim." And I was like, "Hold on." This is one of the only channels that say, "Hold on." We're gonna keep it right and exact and say that's not right. Just because Fulton made weight, you can't arbitrate, because that fight was scheduled at 130. How you gonna make him the 135 champ? It righted the ship because O'Shaquie won, and that's what he was gonna do anyway. He was gonna move into that spot because he was gonna be in the catbird seat for Shakur. When Shakur said he wasn't gonna fight him, he said, "Okay, I'm gonna go back down to 130." They then in turn said, "Okay, well, when that fight went on with JDR Herrera and I think it was Moran, I think it was Moran. But when that fight happened, they went ahead and defaulted back to JDR Herrera being the interim champion now. So now you have people saying it's not going to be right because Zepeda is allegedly supposed to fight Lamont Roach for it, and people saying that the WBC is not going to let them do that because they already gave it to JDR Herrera. I'm like, well, they getting ready to fuck JDR Herrera over like he dodged a bullet because O'Shaquie was like, "No, I'm gonna go back down to 130 to try to make these big fights." So he let that interim shit go, which it shouldn't have been on the line. So it's like nobody pointed out those things. Nobody pointed out like the glaring things when the sanctioning body do something that's like totally crazy. But when it's their favorite fighter or somebody that they want to jockstrap ride, then they want to pull out all these stops. And it's like you can't have it both ways. If you're not as vocal when the sanctioning bodies do things like that as you are when, you know, they do what's right and exact, because they sanction these fights. Like it's medical insurance. Like if somebody were to die, like they have to do a lot. Like we went over it on this channel. It's an episode we went down. Okay, what all do the sanctioning bodies do? It's like, well, if they're not doing it, who's going to do it? And how much are you going to have to piecemeal it? It's like if you can get somebody to redo this whole house, that's the plumbing, the electricity, the carpentry, the landscaping. If you can get one company to do it all versus you having to piecemeal it out, like, are you going to pay more? Of course you're going to pay more. And that's what I was saying. I'm like, where are y'all going with this? Because we can't just halfway step on this conversation.
Yeah, and let me try to bring in a little bit of real life experience for those who tune in on a regular and hear me talk about, you know, the nonprofit I'm working on and stuff like that. Here's where this stuff is with me. I'm at the point where I'm just making sure, you know, all my T's are crossed and my I's are dotted and all the commas and shit like that is in the right place and stuff like that. Now, within doing this business, and I'm going through the same process that the IBF, WBC, all of the sanctioning bodies are going through, because those are all 501c3s, and I'm forming mine. Within that process, right, you have the state regulations. So, being that, let's say I want to start my sanctioning, or I'm starting my nonprofit here in New York. I have to first apply with the state. As I'm applying with the state is going to say, okay, this is what's going on. This is your article of incorporations. You're now an incorporated company. This is IRS. This is your EIN number for your employees. Now, if you want that tax exempt, now you have to take this article of incorporation rewrite it in a way that IRS accepts it. IRS is not going to accept what you did at the state level. They're going to accept what you did at the federal level. That's the only thing that matters. What the state granted you, that's what the state granted you. Our requirements are different than the state. Our requirements say you have to write a whole new article of incorporation or draft it and submit it in. You could take points of what you had from the state, but it has to be in a form that is conducive to the IRS and the IRS requirements. Then you say to yourself, well, how the hell do I find the IRS requirements? That means you have to look and study for that. So what the sanctioning bodies do is like going to LegalZoom or going to your state's advocacy joint where they say, well, listen, you pay us a total of $1,500 to $2,000. We'll get all of that paperwork done, including anything you need for the federal government. That's what the sanctioning bodies do. Now, I got to do it myself. I've been at this shit for at least 6 months, learning what these languages mean. I didn't know what Inura is, if I'm even pronouncing it right. INURE or IE or some shit like that. And what that word simply means is any money that I make from my nonprofit, that money can't go to anything that's personal to me or personal to any other member of the nonprofit. So to learn these type of words, and you don't know it, but I know how to be a chef. I know how to run the books. I know how to make $1 million, but I don't know this shit. And for the fighter knows how to box. He knows how to punch somebody in the face, the proper way to punch somebody in the face, how to move his feet and shit like that through his training. But he don't know how to put together a fight, even if he has an LLC, which all of these fighters basically do. You're not signing to PBC without an LLC because then they have no way of paying you. You're paid through your LLC because your LLC lets them know you're an independent contractor with this particular sanctioning body. Those other sanctioning bodies, they have full control over you. We're only saying, look, as being an independent contractor to us, we just do not allow you to speak ill of the parent company. Okay, cool. But I'm gonna make you a millionaire as long as you don't speak ill with me. That's an easy trade-off. But what the sanctioning bodies actually do is take what you decided with your promotional company, your trainer, and everybody agrees that, yeah, we're ready for this fight. All we need is 6 or 8 weeks within the terms of whatever. Some training camps and some fights are, half a year out or fucking 3 months out. We've seen it. We've seen this whole, other fights where they're like, yeah, this was the longest training camp I've ever had.
I think David Benavidez do 3 months. I think he got like a 3-month thing that he do.
Yeah, exactly. So the point the overall point is you need someone to put all of that together, present it to the state and the federal government, because the sanctioning bodies also deal with the state athletic commissions. They also deal with medical insurance and all of these other things. So to say, well, what does the sanctioning bodies actually do for a fighter? You're asking the wrong question, because they do a hell of a lot for you. And if you're kind of asking that question, it's like there's a certain level of being disingenuous, or you're just asking the question, okay, if I'm in $100 million fight, at what point is enough money for the sanctioning body to do what they got to do? It should be almost a cookie cutter fee at each level. So if you want to talk about corruption and different fee levels and stuff like that, yeah, there may be arguments there. I don't know unless you do something really, really egregious, very few things trigger an audit of a 501c3. Like, you got to be like really crazy with it in order for it to trigger a audit.
Let me say this. Let me say this though. To me, it was almost like it was the equivalent of somebody putting their foot in their mouth. And you know how? Because the WBC actually worked with Bud, right? The amount they should have got was based on what he told them he was going to get paid. And then when everything started floating around and people started saying what he really got paid, they probably raised their eyebrow and said, hold on, we thought you got paid this much, and this is all we wanted. So it was almost like by your shenanigans, you exposed the fact that you were still trying to get over on them because they work with you, because they say, oh, they could have worked with him. He was this and this and that. Well, the sanctioning bodies were working on them. And it's funny how there was never an issue or nothing came up when they was in a certain bracket as far as money they made. It wasn't until they made Blockbuster pay. Yet the sanctioning bodies, they do cap out at it, because I said that after you make a certain amount, it should be a schedule to where it's like once you go past this amount, so it's not egregious, that it should be like capped off. And it actually was like, so when you look at the numbers, it was like you got over, but then you exposed yourself for lying about how much you got paid, because you was running around talking about you got $10 million. Come to find out, they were speculating that it was more like 50. So, and they were only charging you, they was charging you a minimal fee, and you don't even bring in what Canelo made. So you really put your foot in your mouth when you expose yourself. The Shakur thing, he was trying to ride on the backs of, oh yeah, they just doing that because, you know, I don't got nothing to do with Bud. He was all in the interviews doing that, and it's like, bro, you exposing yourself too, because you just bought $150 grand watch and all that. Like, and this is a tax write-off. I don't know about that watch, but to me, to break it all down, it's almost like Reservoir Dogs when they was all, one of my favorite movies, classic. They were sitting at the table, man, and the dude didn't want to tip. He was like, man, just tip. He was like, nah, I'm not gonna tip. Why? This is their pay. Like, you know, they signed up. And he was like, man, just tip. And they was really getting ready to have a problem because the dude didn't want to tip. And that's how I see it. Like, if I would, man, I'd be ready to beat the shit out of somebody if you go sit down and eat with me and you don't want to tip and do whatever. Like, it's just what's right, man. But this is actually business. So it's actually worse because it's the cost of doing business.
Yep.
It's your claim to fame. It's the very thing that you're fighting for. And now they say that, and they did this. And I'm gonna get off of it after this. They actually they actually robbed themselves of the glory that put them in a position of where they at. Like, they're known for their accolades because they weren't the most popular. Nobody ever said that either one of them guys was the face of boxing. We know that they're two of the most skilled boxers on the planet, but they were never the face. You know what I'm saying? They were never the face. So by everybody knowing you was based on accolades. But now once you get the accolades, it's almost like once you GTD, get the draws, oh, she ain't worth nothing no more. It's like, no, she was worth everything. She was worth all them late night texts, all them how you doing or good morning love. She was worth all of that until you got the draws, and now she ain't worth nothing. So now you got the belt, you got the claim to fame, you got the status, and now it ain't worth the cost of doing the business. Knock it off, y'all. Knock it off, man. But to bring it around to a shock, man, I think that to bring it back home, man, in the grand scheme of things, this is a big fight. They both made weight. I think Ray Ford got more. He got more than a puncher's chance, and he is skilled. If Shockey goes in there, he's way too confident and all this, and just think this shit is sweet. Yeah, he could lose. I don't see it happening because I do think that experience do matter, and I do think that I'm not going to discount Fulton missing weight and giving no excuses, because at the end of the day, if you can fight, you can fight. You know, you can box, and I think that at the end of the day, Ray Ford has found himself in a battle that's not his own. And I don't think that O'Shaquie is looking past Ray Ford. I think he knows
what's ahead of him, and I think that it means more because he knows once he do that, it's like a chess move. Once I beat this piece, once I wipe this bishop off the board, I'm going for the quote unquote king right now. You know what I'm saying? And I know that it's big implications. So at first I wasn't that high on the undercard, but I know the main event is going to be electric. And I think the undercard is like, at first I was looking at it a little sideways, but I think it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll leave it at that. But I'm pulling for, I'm gonna put it on wax and say, man, I got Oshaki. You know, I'm leaning more towards a unanimous decision. But again, I do think that if Ray is as emotional as he is, and if he did, you know, if he goes in there emotional thinking that I'm just gonna stop this dude, he's gonna get stopped if that happens. But I'm leaning towards a unanimous decision. So I just want to put that on wax. I'm not gonna be like one of these guys out here that's gonna flip and flop and pancake with it. I'm gonna ride with Oshak, and I'm not a fly-by-night Oshak fan. I've been a Oshak fan for years. So that's my prediction, man.
I'm gonna say it like this before I give my prediction. I've heard some people call this fight a chess match, and sometimes I have to ask the question: if you're gonna call this fight a chess match, have you ever played chess for real? Like, do you know how the chess game starts? You feel what I'm saying? For me, it's either with 2 pawns or 2 kings, any two pieces. Put them under the table, whatever the case may be, under the board. You're gonna put one in one hand, the white piece in one hand, the black piece in the other hand. You're gonna hold over and say, choose one. Whatever the guy chooses, you open it up, and that lets him know something. And that's either be first or be reactive in efforts of becoming first. And then the guy who's playing defense, if he plays the game properly, he can switch his defense now to offense. Because by nature, if you choose the black piece, you're playing on offense. You're second, the other guy is first. He's dictating the real estate. He's dictating the land. So if I choose a pawn's gambit, or queen's gambit, or any one of the gambits, I'm letting you know I'm at this level. And if you don't know what I'm doing, mate is going to happen in under 12 moves. So when you talk about a chess match, to me, I have to say, who are the players? And if you're going to tell me that this fight right here is a chess match, I'm going to disagree with you, and I'm just going to say, well, one person knows how to play chess and the other one just heard of the game. And someone can be a more skilled fighter than you, but if they don't know how to play chess, then you can easily beat them in a game that requires thinking, precision, and insight and oversight. And just understanding the relationship between each square, each piece, and all 60-something squares. So that's the part of me where I'm looking and I'm like, some of the talking points with this fight is, it just seems a bit weird. It seems like they're trying to manufacture some things that just don't need to be manufactured within the terms of saying, you know, this is a fight that's really, it's really bad blood. Like, these guys genuinely don't like each other. And I'm like, well, when you listen to Oshaki never said he genuinely doesn't like Ray Ford. What he said is what's going on in boxing, where you want to take these guys who haven't really done much, and this is what some of the fans are saying, and some of the legends, Hall of Famers are saying, like, look, we got to stop trying to manufacture some of this stuff. Let us find out by having these guys fight each other. For you to come out and tell us that Shakur Stevenson, by beating Teofimo Lopez and William Zepeda and Josh Patty, or Patty, whatever his name was, You feel what I'm saying? And Artem, him fighting these last 4 guys put him in a position to whereas it's understood that you now have to go through Ray Ford. You now have to go through a possible Richardson Hitchens or a Keyshawn Davis to actually get to Shakur Stevenson, because Shakur Stevenson, by that Teofimo fight and the way he beat him, effectively made him the final boss. And if you're a little bro, why didn't that thing happen with Canelo? Why didn't it happen with Andre Ward? Why didn't it happen with Floyd Mayweather? No one was saying you got to fight these guys in order to get a fight with those guys. The fucked up part was when Errol was looking for his time, and he went to the Keith Thurmans, he went to the Kell Brooks and all of these other fighters to try to make fights, and they was like, nah, young blood, you got to get a belt first before you even want to see me. I was like, no, that's not, no, What the fuck is that? Like, imagine if Mayweather would have said that shit to Canelo. Or said it to anybody coming up. What if De La Hoya would have said, you know what? If Mayweather wants to fight me, he's got to fight, this Spanish guy, that Spanish guy, and that Spanish guy before he gets to me. What would they have said about De La Hoya back then? So to move into this direction, and then we're talking about, bad blood and all of this weird, goofy shit. The only part of this whole equation that kind of shows anything near bad blood is what O'Shaki has for Shakur and the bullshit that Shakur is doing. Yes, Shakur is in the middle of this entire fight card that's happening this weekend, at least the main event. Like, this is all within, if you choose to look at it from that perspective, this is all within Shakur Stevenson's doing. There was no bad blood between Ray Ford and O'Shaki. Ray Ford was down at 26. We were thinking that he's going to fight some other people and solidify his legacy before he moves up. He has a bad outing, a bad showing. The battery gets put in his back. Yeah, I'm moving up because now all of a sudden I'm chasing O'Shaki Foster, and we've been trying to chase him for the last 2 years. Oh, for real, for real. You've been trying to chase him for the last 2 years. That kind of sounds so familiar, like Boots saying, you know what? I was chasing Bud and them since Bud and Errol since 2018. And then when I look back at where Boots was fighting in 2018, the dude was fighting in a community center, in a Philadelphia community center. What part of that is chasing these two guys? So bringing everything full circle and bringing in these sanctioning bodies and everything else, it's relevant in this conversation because Shakur lost his belt at 35 based on some bullshit that he did with the sanctioning body. O'Shaki offered to rectify that situation. You know what I'm saying? And in rectifying that situation, Shakur gets his belt back. And then he gets to defend his fight against the guy that helped him get his back end. Is there a foregone conclusion on who the winner of that fight is? No, but it's a great fight. But it's the movement to get to that point that now you put this back in and said, listen, if this is what's going to happen, Ray, you got to go out there and you got to get this fight. Oh, Shaq looked at the landscape of what's going on at 35. Yeah, now he's definitely ducking. So I'm going to go back down here and see what I can make here. Yeah, there was an upset. Whether or not it was an upset for those who knew both parties of the fight and stuff like that. Nick Ball loses. Some other people lose, I believe, at 130. So the landscape is kind of different. Navarrete picks up 2 belts and shit like that. Nick Ball gets stopped. So the landscape is now different than what O'Shaquie was saying before that landscape. So now he's kind of finding himself, this is boxing and this is the business of boxing. The guy that I thought was going to win, that I was rooting for to win, actually lost the fight. So me and his negotiations are kind of dead right now because I can't be on the mission that I'm on and make the runner I'm on by turn around and fighting either one of these guys who just lost. I have to be looking at the winners. And right now the winners are caught up in their shit. They're gonna play games and try to play keep away. So you know what? I'll take on Lil Buddy right now. And this is how we got here. Because O'Shaquie is actually going after Shakur. Let's not forget that part. This fight happens because O'Shaquie wants Shakur. O'Shaquie has to get past this, past Ray Ford. But the fight is happening because Ray Ford wants to play speed bump with Shakur Stevenson. So now we're going to see what kind of speed bump you are. Are you going to be an effective one? Or are you just going to be something like, I thought there was a speed bump there, or the speed bumps that have the 2 grooves in it. That's like, why do you have the 2 grooves there if this shit was supposed to be a speed bump? You feel what I'm saying? So I like to understand why we're here, what's the ramifications, and really just focus on that. People want to try to say what they're saying about, O'Shaq maybe being not focused and everything, but the whole point of it was, I'm only fighting this guy because I have my eye on this guy. You want to put this speed bump ahead of me, I need to stay busy because I had my plan B. Now my plan B is fucked up, so now I'm going to plan C. Plan A didn't work out, plan B didn't work out, now I'm on plan C. That tells me how a champion moves. Whereas I'm looking at other guys like, yeah, I would love to get in the ring soon and I would love to do this. Then make a fucking fight. If O'Shaq is looking to stay busy and other fighters are looking to stay busy, bro, you can stay busy. You know what I'm saying? So I love the movements that O'Shaq is doing. This is why the main reason why I'm supporting him, and the main reason why I'm saying I have all the faith in O'Shaquie, because we just heard Tim Bradley say the thing that me and Bodywork been saying. It's funny as hell that now, if you want to fight with Shakur Stevenson, if he puts one of his minions up front to beat you or to fight you, you have to beat them in some spectacular, oh my God, this is a come to Jesus moment, that how bad he beat this guy, or just knock him out within the first 10 seconds. And they're creating this increased pressure and these increased tears. It's like in real life, we're watching a video game being designed around this one fighter. And you got to go through all of this stuff, climb mountains, cross rivers, milk 3 cows, kick 2 goats in the ass. You feel what I'm saying? And uncurl 2 big pigs' tails in order to get, to the next step, which then may be a sparring match with someone like Andre Ward. And then once you get past the sparring match, and if you ain't put in good work, then you can't get the fight with Ray Ford or Hitchens or one of these other guys. So it's just like, what the fuck are we doing? This is Sims boxing? Like, is this what's going on around this guy? Around this guy. And if boxing hasn't learned its lesson from what we just saw with Usyk, Wait till that guy goes through that same shit. Woo! Let's see how that shit plays out. See if they brush it off or they keep the same energy as Usyk. But I know he's never going to fight a kickboxer or anybody like that. At least that's what I'm thinking. So it's going to come from some weird ass cherry pick. Somebody who was like, oh, he only had 3 weeks to a month and he's just there to look good, and the shit might happen on Zoom. So who the fuck knows, man? But at the end of the day, what's going on, this shit is not sustainable. It's not sustainable for the sport. It's not sustainable for the fans. Some fans, they're happy with it. It's the drama. It's the wire. It's, you know, it's every one of these shows that I just said.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the drama. You got the main character. He's the bad guy. He's controlling and he's manipulating people, and you could see it in the play. Like, yeah, that's 50 right there on that power shit. Shakur is power right now. He at the throne and he moving everybody in boxing the way, you know, the way boxing is supposed to be, or whatever. Shakur got boxing on lock right now. And that's the narrative that's the big picture narrative that wants to be there. You had Floyd, who actually made the money and changed the game, him and De La Hoya and Mike Tyson. You feel what I'm saying? Then we went into the, you know, my must never go stage of boxing, where Mr. Gary Russell and everybody was just saying, listen, it's a loss. If you're going out to fight the best of the best, then you're gonna lose. You know, you just may have an off night. That's the sport, but it don't take nothing away from you. And Mr. Gary Antoine Russell is actually proving that, because he was the guy who took on the sleeper of 140-pound division. You know what I'm saying? The guy that everybody knew about, but it just didn't seem that anybody wanted to fight him. And that was Andy Hirioka. And off of what happened with Andy Hirioka, besides the body attack that Hirioka put on him, Gary Antoine nullified everything that Hirioka damn near brought to the table. It's just the body, that body attack was like, whoa, that's something different. Okay. You showing me, wow, you can really rip these body shots, bro. But that ain't going, that's, you know, once my brother called me Antoine and I knew he was serious, then it was like, yeah, okay, bro, I got you. Go back to what we was doing in the first round and just, you know, stick to the game plan. He did that, cut off the distance, excellent fight. Showed that that's probably the best fight we gonna get in that division, between the real two top level guys. Unless anybody else want to step up and challenge Mr. Andy Hirioka, or be bad enough to challenge Mr. Gary Antoine. So at the end of the day, for me, bro, I'm looking forward to this fight. I ain't really got no issues with the fight, except that, you know, you're not selling me on the fact that this is real bad blood when there was no bad blood prior to the 2 years you said you was chasing him. Because we can easily go back in history and see where your attentions lie, where the media attentions lie, and then what was that turn? You decided to get into that argument that he was having with Shakur. You know what I'm saying? And he was telling Shakur, listen, I'll go up to 135 to fight you. What's up? Shakur telling him, oh, you ain't did nothing. Who are you? You this, you that. But you saying everything but let's fight. You telling him he's already got losses and stuff like that, but you've been wanting to fight Pitbull Cruz after Tank stopped him. You say you want to fight Ryan Garcia after Tank stopped him.
Mm-hmm.
You say you want to fight Conor Ben, but Conor Ben got losses. So the arguments that you was making, this is why we saw through it. Yeah, bro. Something about O'Shock scared the shit out of you. Just like we know something about Tank scared the shit out of you. Because he's smaller than you, shorter than you, got a shorter arm reach than you. But you do everything in your power not to fight that guy. And the crazy thing was, Mr. Hollywood Lamont Roach just pulled that same bullshit. When Lamont Roach was asked, hey, is there, we're hearing that the WBA ordered Schofield versus Davis and stuff like that. What's going on between that situation I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that situation. I don't want to talk about that guy. And it's like, he never did nothing to you, bro, but gave you an opportunity.
He was the Spence to your bud at this early stage, and it was a draw. Like, you ain't even dominate. Like, it wound up being a draw. I mean, we know.
Yeah.
We spoke.
So the point is, he gave you an opportunity. Because of the results of that fight and what people saw, the general consensus is you won. You beat him. On that night, you were just better, and in that whole situation where he took that knee and stuff like that, it didn't help anything. But then you went Hollywood. You feel what I'm saying? Instead of being humble and yada yada yada, and taking that humility and running into that Pitbull Cruz fight, you feel what I'm saying? Cruz drops you. Which then kind of shows something. If you take the dynamic of those two fights and you look at how Tank fought you, and then you look at how Cruz fought you, and Cruz dropped you. If Tank would have fought you the way Cruz fought you and not gave a shit about you, not gave a shit about the relationship, bringing, family members to the fight and just having this kumbaya, DMV style picnic or whatever, you feel what I'm saying? You probably would have went to sleep the first fight. More than likely, you would have went to sleep the first fight. And in the second fight, you're guaranteed to go to sleep. You feel what I'm saying? Because if Cruz could drop you because you wanted to use your little your little shoulder and try to think you could bang there with Cruz the way you did with Tank. Tank allowed that to happen that way. Cruz was not. And at the end of the day, even after getting dropped and everything else, you managed a draw with him. And he was out to hurt you. Now imagine if Tank is out to hurt you. It's not going to be a draw, Lamont. So what you're doing right now, I get it. You're trying to, take the most of your 15 minutes of fame and make that shit a half an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. But be careful on what you're saying, and be careful on whose trailer you're going in and what trailer you're seeing coming out of. Because it's going to have an effect sooner or later. And that's the part that I'm just like, Lamont, stop. Stop. Your dad's already doing great things in boxing. Y'all a boxing family. You got your bro. You got your dad running, doing promotionals, and he's doing a damn good job. I do not have any issues when I see, Roach Promotions incorporated with, pro boxing, whatever. Because I know, we about to get some fireworks on this card. Roach team is involved with pro box. Oh yeah, we about to see some shit. I tune in. So why are you doing all of this goofy shit, bro?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they're right there, bro.
Well, good take, man. Good take, man. As always, man. We cook. I'm just gonna give
I'm just gonna give my closing thoughts, man. But you definitely gave everybody a lot to think about, man. And I appreciate the honesty, man. That's why I like this channel, man, because we not gonna politic, man. We can't. It's not in us, man. All I want to say before we get out of here, all I'm gonna say is this. Shout out to No Excuse. That's the name of Lamont Roach's thing. They No Excuse. They put on a lot of fighters from the DMV, and that is the bright spot. Like the exposure that Roach got, and then them translating that into his little brother. His little brother, nice. He got some things to work on, but he's nice for his weight class. And it's a lot of other guys on that, that's in the mix with that. And they got a good thing going with Pro Box. So shout out for them. I don't necessarily care for Hollywood Roach. But Lamont Roach, he's an all right guy. I just think he should have handled things, or should be handling things just a little bit different, man. Given the opportunity. But I will say this to land my plane. This was never like the reason why I admire Shocky, and one of the reasons why I'm pulling for him, because I said this before, the way he went on Gilly and Wallow, the way he went on Cam and Mace, he never lost his composure. He went into the Lions Den with all them Philly guys, and Gilly told him he had Fulton, and Gilly told him, well, even if you fight Shakur, I got him. And Shocky said, well, look, I'm gonna prove you wrong. He proved them wrong and made a weight excuse, right? And now they're making the same thing with Ford. Remember, Ford had this weight excuse, and all. I know it was a quick turnaround when he fought Nick Ball, but that was the excuse. Oh, he was drained and this and this and that. When he just got outworked by Nick Ball, it was like Matias versus Paro. He just got outworked. He could have done more, but I said that he falls in these laws where he don't let his hands go. But this is the big point for me. And I'm gonna land right here. Shocky said, look, man, this wasn't personal for me. He wanted to talk about sparring and how I didn't come to sparring and like making up all this stuff. He was like, no, he's being a crash dummy. He's being a minion. Tim Bradley qualified it by saying, yeah, you sending your little minion, like, so don't take it from us. Shocky said it, Tim Bradley said it, so the boxer said it, and the Hall of Famer said it. And that's really what's going on. What Shocky said was, nah, this guy talking about after me, you're gonna change my life, and I'm not gonna be able to go home to my kids with the same mindset. He said no. He said because as boxers, he said my worst ops, I would never wish that on them. He said no, I want to go in there and have a good fight. Yeah, I'm gonna dominate, but I still want any opponent, anybody to step in that ring to be able to get out and go to their family the same way. He said so. At that point, he said I don't have no respect for these dudes. These dudes taking it to a whole different level. And it's funny how, when you got a bully, and I wouldn't even consider Shakur a bully, but like with Jay Prince and some of the politics around, yeah, he kind of did bully T.O. in a sense. And we see how T.O. went in there and didn't do what he was supposed to do. He didn't let his hands go. He got beat by front foot placement and a jab. But like when you got a bully, and you got like in high school, you got the bully and you got the little gang that they roll with and they do the intimidation and all that stuff. It's funny how in the boxing world, how everybody is like slowly attaching themselves to that. Even Lamont Roach is finding himself in there. Then you got the fake Avengers, like you got Hitchens and you got Keyshawn, now you got Roach, now you little Ray. You got the whole, everybody's gravitating toward that, and nobody's going toward the guy that's doing everything just as a pure boxing fan that we want him to do. The guy that's going toward the smoke, the guy that say, man, I'm not fighting nobody to get to you. Fuck that. You duck me. Most people would say, nah, you ducking me. You want me to fight this guy? I'm not fighting this guy. Shocky stepped up to the plate. He's saying, all right, you say I got to fight this guy. All right, so when I dominate him, you got to see me. And everybody want to shit on Shocky. That's what's wrong with boxing. This is why people are running around saying that boxing is getting weird. People want all these advantages. I mean, they want people to be cable toed, blindfolded. You got to go in and fight with a paper clip in between your big toe. I mean, it's just all this crazy shit. Other than ring size, and I get to pick the gloves, and of course, if I'm the big dog, I'm coming out second. That's about it. But we in an era now where they want all the advantages. You got to do like AC said. You know what I'm saying? You got to go milk 3 cows and uncurl the pig's tail, and go race Usain Bolt in his old age. Like, it's this crazy shit that's going on, right? And all we really want is the big fights and the big smoke. If you're not speaking to things that's going to lead us or coerce us into getting the big fights, because it's real how Shakur got a lot of protection. You got a lot of people saying, "Oh no, man, yeah, we want Ray Ford to do it, so Shockey never gets a shot at him." It's like, you're not a boxing fan, you're a groupie. Let's not be groupies, man. Silence is consent, meaning that all it takes for evil to prevail is for men and women to remain silent. So we speak to the things that need to be spoken to in the sport of boxing. We say, go where everybody knows your name and they always glad you came and they always sing your praise. And after that, come over here and hear what we got to say about it. Maybe you can learn something. Maybe you can put something in your rucksack. Maybe, we can get your juices flowing and get your critical thinking going. That way you can put something in your rucksack, carry that on to the next boxing conversation, and it can lead us towards getting big fights, because a lot of the conversations we're hearing right now it's dead ending fights. It's saying, oh, he don't need to fight. Well, who do he need to fight? Who do Shakur need to fight? If it's not O'Shaquie, and yeah, Tank is ducking, and he don't gotta fight Keyshawn, which I don't want to see, because there ain't gonna be no aggression in that fight anyway. They're not gonna try to hurt each other, so I'm over that. But ain't nobody saying he gotta fight Gary Antoine Russell. Ain't nobody saying he got to fight Dalton Smith. Now he's saying, okay, now that the Ray Ford and O'Shaquie got it on, now he wants to go back down to 35 to fight Morataya after Morataya fought Andy Cruz. But him and Andy Cruz over there on Matchroom, they didn't fight, and Keyshawn wiggled out of the Andy Cruz fight. Yeah, Andy Cruz done fought Morataya, and he getting ready to face another challenge in Albert Bell. Some people like the Abdullah Masons, the Andy Cruz, the Brian Normans, the David Benavidez's, they're going to give us the smoke. Even Tito. Keyshawn ain't even got to say Tito. He could just attach his name to whatever else. But these people and this whole culture. So for the business of boxing, this is why I go against this whole friends and family network, the Brat Pack and all that, because it's not good for boxing. And slowly but surely, we said it a while ago, but everybody just now, like Tim just now came around and qualified everything that we said and saying that, look, this got to happen. This is going to be a big fight. Don't take our word for it. We just here to just do our thing and talk boxing, you know what I'm saying? Let some stress out and talk about the sport that we love. That's all we're going to do. Support the channel, like, comment, subscribe, even if you don't donate, because we are monetized. We didn't link up and network with all these people and join and bite and stab nobody in the back and take their members. We didn't do none of that. All we did was keep doing content. We got monetized. So super chat, cash app. If you can't do that, hype the videos, leave comments. If you catch this on the playback, talk to me, holler at me, I'll talk back. But that's all we had, man. This is another beautiful episode. Hope everybody have a wonderful weekend, and may the best man win. And we do hope, like O'Shaquie said, no matter what, may the best man win, but we want them both to go home to their families and live to fight another day. And we'll have another boxing conversation after this. We're going to follow up. But I appreciate you, AC, man. I appreciate everybody who showed love. Good to see you, Johnny Allison, man. Hope baby boy doing good. He probably on the verge of walking now, just about. But shout out to everybody in the comments, man. T-Mac, Sulani, Johnny Allison. Who else was in the building? Honeybee. Let's see if I'm missing anybody. I said T-Mac.
Your day one Cookie Monster.
Cookie Monster, of course. Cookie Monster. I like to say the best for that. I just want the truth was in the building.
Yeah.
So Aso Stain was in the building too. And I didn't even see D Calico. D Calico had jumped in. Why you ain't jump on the panel, D Calico, man? We needed to get the Boxing Prophets word on this thing, but I know we wrapping it up, man. I know we're gonna wrap it up. You ain't kicked it over here in a while, man, but I know life be lifing. But salute to everybody, man, who came in and chimed in, man. Salute to all of y'all, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. Great show, buddy. On to the next one, man.
All right, man. Thanks, AC. Y'all know we can talk this boxing talk all day and all night, but hopefully you gain something from your experience here on the channel, man. Positive vibes to everybody, man. We'll wrap it up. We'll see you after the fight, man. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this Welcome to